Blank check with Griffin and David. Blank check with Griffin and David. Don't know what to say or to expect. All you need to know is that the name of the show is Blank Check.
No, I'm semi-serious here.
You're seriously...
He will be attractive. He'll be nice and helpful. He'll get a job where he influences a great God-fearing nation. He'll never do an evil thing. He'll never deliberately hurt a living thing. He will just bit by little bit lower our standards where they are important. Just a tiny little bit. Just coax along, flash over substance. Just a tiny little bit. And he'll talk about all of us being salesmen. And he'll get all the great podcasts.
Fucking hell.
Hello, everybody. I'm Griffin Newman.
I'm David Sims. Hi. Right. I'm involved in this podcast. Yes,
You're
hi.
a co-host. We are hashtag The Two Friends. It's a proprietary advantage. This is a podcast about filmographies. Directors who have massive success early on in their careers and are given a series of blank checks to make whatever crazy passion projects they want. And talk about a guy who had massive success early on in his career.
Yes.
Yeah. First time at bat hits a full-on home run. And now he's got a toll check to make whatever he wants.
Sure.
And he makes what I would argue is his finest film.
Same.
I think most now.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of the consensus.
That's got to be almost
right.
Unanimous.
There's one perfect movie where everyone goes like, oh, great, this guy's cracked the code and now he's going to make 20 of the greatest comedies of all time. And then that didn't happen.
Yeah.
He mentored some really good directors.
Well,
He made some movies with redeeming qualities.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
This is the nexus, and then he never totally makes it all gel in the same way.
He then makes a literal fortune on The Simpsons, like right after this.
That's another thing.
That's like almost parallel, right?
Yeah.
Like The Simpsons is 87.
He had a very good 1987.
Well, this is, I guess, Tracy Ullman is on while this is coming out.
Right, no, The Simpsons is 89.
Is when the show starts up. Right. I think
right.
87 was Tracy Ullman, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
In April 19th, 1987.
Yeah, so talk about a year where the die is cast.
I mean, I had an okay year, but
you had a good year.
87, it was my first full year on the planet because I was born in 86.
Yeah, you learned how to chew food, but James L. Brooks did
I'm
this.
right where Charlie is right now. I was right where Charlie is right now.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys miss Charlie?
So much.
He's one of the better guests we've had.
Guys, I'm just talking your ear right now. You got to say who Charlie is.
We're going to talk about all this stuff.
Well, yeah, just clarify, okay?
Well, they don't even know
I get what he's doing.
He's talking in our ear, right?
Show the listeners. Come on.
Okay, that's of course. That is, of course, Washington Bureau Chief Ben Hosley.
Oh, yeah, that should be his name.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A.K. Producer Ben, A.K. the Ben Deucer, A.K. the Poet Laureate, A.K. the Haas, A.K. Mr. Positive, A.K. Mr. Positive, A.K.
faster.
Tiebreaker, our finest film critic, The Peeper, The Fart Detective, The Meat Lover, The Poet Laureate, did I say that one already? Soaking Wet Benny, Birthday Benny, White Hot Benny. He's graduated different titles over the course of different miniseries, such as Kylo Ben, Producer Ben Kenobi, Ben Say, Ben Night Shyamalan, Say Bennything, Alien Benz with the $sign, War Haas, Ben 19 the Filmmaker, and Robo Haas.
Well done. Wow. Yeah, this is a producer movie. This is a movie about a producer.
It sure is.
We should just be all Ben.
I just want to look at Ben and go, Bobby, 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 Bobby.
The name of the miniseries is...
As Pod as a Cast.
Oh, you asshole. It's podcast news.
It's called As Pod as a Cast, and we'll decide later which one it is. We're saying both now.
It's Pod Broadcast News.
That was Ben's suggestion.
Pod Broadcast News.
We are recording...
That's the best one by far.
Just leave it all in, Ben. Leave it all in. Leave it all on the table.
We are recording this episode of miniseries in advance. We haven't finished the previous miniseries because we have an amazing guest in town. We had to reschedule everything because there was a window of opportunity here.
Exactly.
Joan Cusack was running through the hallway with files just to stop you from recording before I got here.
And our guest jumped over a small child in order to get to the studio.
And under an open file cabinet.
She is now officially joining the Three Timers Club.
Yeah.
That's right.
The Three Timers Club. And is officially joining the Two-Timer Without a Baby Club.
Mm-hmm.
Does she count as a four-timer because she's actually on both Titanic episodes, though?
Oh, but I'm not. Didn't I
No,
leave?
you are.
I'm in the very beginning
of
it. Yeah.
Well, then that brings up the question, is EO a five-timer by now?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to weigh in no.
Wow.
I think when you get into, do you count Kill Bill as one movie or two movies?
2 movies. Kill Bill's 2 movies.
I mean,
Yeah, Kill Bill's 2 movies.
But like, is the Best of Both Worlds 2 Star Trek episodes, or is it just one?
Right. And
that's more what it's like to me. It's like a 2-part TV episode.
Right.
You know?
And in Hannah Montana / Miley Cyrus, The Best of Both Worlds, the 3D concert movie, is that one person or are these 2 aspects of the same person?
I mean, you're going to sit here and tell me that Mockingjay Part 1 and 2 are like the same movie? I mean, those are 2 epic events.
Those are, and they have different thematic concerns.
Anyway.
Katie Rich is here.
Hello. Now should we explain who Charlie is?
Yes, Charlie is the baby.
I cannot believe you let me
Charlie
bring a
is the
baby
baby.
to this recording studio.
Yes.
Not to the old recording studio.
Yeah, this is the thing. So this recording studio that we've been in for a while now is 3 or 4 times the size
It
of
is
our
like-
last.
Oh,
I
way
think it's
bigger.
more technically not a closet.
Yeah.
It's one way to think about it.
And how old was your baby, Charlie?
He was
at
about
the time?
5 months old, I
If
think.
that.
So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
now he is a toddler who would rip all of the cords out of the wall.
Sure.
It would be, I mean, I would not do it again with a 5-month-old. I definitely wouldn't do it with a 17-month-old. And I cannot believe you guys let me do that.
But you wanted to talk about Titanic
I'm sorry.
badly.
I just need just one moment. Ben has pulled a banana out of nowhere and is eating it like he's in a banana commercial.
Wait, I
He
gotta
could
take
not-
a picture for
he's
my Ben
holding
style.
the banana up.
Are there,
right in
are
front-
there banana commercials?
I just want a snack. Okay.
Bananas
I'm
are a
not-
good snack.
All right, I'm behind the scenes. I'm just manning the boards, making sure that everybody's looking at the right camera, talking in the right microphone.
Eating a nanner.
Eating a nanner. Continue. Sorry.
How's Charlie doing?
You know, he's walking and talking. He loves bananas, actually. I feel like this was kind of some viral marketing for a baby. And then there's a banana on mic.
Have you already trained him in the ways of Oscar prognostication? Does he have a
all right.
pick?
You know what we watched a little bit of was Lego Batman.
Oh.
It was in your honor.
Hey.
He was into it. He likes things with songs better. So there's
Okay.
not, like we watched Moana a good bit.
How
You
do
watch
you know
Coco
if
yet?
he's into it? It's just that he's sort of like quiet and
Yeah,
focused.
how do you know?
Well, so how do you,
In the
how do you
words
know?
of Jimmy L.
or in the words of Amy Adams in Enchanted, which is
Sure.
Yeah.
probably
Great song.
singing to that same.
Oscar nominated song.
No, like he watches Sesame Street enough. Like when the song
Sure.
for the letter of the day starts, like he pays attention and then
Right.
like goes back to wandering around to do whatever he wants. So
Has he watched Coco yet?
yeah, we watched part of Coco.
So good.
Yeah, it's good. We
Songs.
didn't get to the part where you like weep and think about mortality in your family.
Yeah, I feel a little tough.
He'll get there.
Yeah. But the opening, remember me, that's fun.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a lot of fun.
yeah,
He's on a stage with lights and then he dies. Spoiler for the first 5 minutes of Coco.
Does he get killed by a bell? Is
He
it
gets
a giant
killed by a
Bell.
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 Yeah,
Coco's great.
yeah. For the
We may have already talked about Coco.
probably talked about it
but,
every episode.
But have the
Yeah.
Oscars happened by the time people hear this?
Let me check.
I think we'll be nudging up against
The
them, right?
No, the Oscars have happened.
Wow.
Wow.
People, congratulations
To Best Picture
Fuck.
winner.
Well, so on our Munich episode, we correctly predicted, or I correctly predicted Moonlight. You correctly, I can't remember. One of you did,
I'm sorry.
right?
Go fuck yourself.
I can't
correctly
remember.
predicted
I literally
Moonlight.
can't
You
remember.
were still La La Land. Fucking Todd was La La Land. I was
Right,
like
right.
money on the barrel, Moonlight.
Now, I believe in a previous episode, I predicted Get Out.
Yes, David predicted Get Out will win Best
Did
Picture.
you not predict Dunkirk on air somewhere? Because you've been predicting that.
So let me
In
just
life
make
for
a third
months.
prediction. Lady Bird. All right, great. so happy that won.
Cover your bases. Do you want to predict someone who's going to be accused of sexual harassment betwing now and then?
God.
Well, that's
Just
been a
come
running
on.
kind of
Yeah.
bit.
Okay.
I don't know
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
we should.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, by bit, Ben means we talk about filmmakers and actors, and then
Right.
half of them have been accused by the time the episode comes out. Because if we record an episode even 12 hours in advance,
Yeah, right.
we've somehow put our foot in our mouths.
Yeah.
Where we're like, we're only going to talk about Mr. Rogers. Right. Like, come on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
disaster strikes.
Yeah.
We talked about cameras in the other episode, then suddenly the Ari Bowflex got accused of
Good one.
hostile work environment.
How is Charlie? I miss him almost as much as I miss
Me?
you.
I look forward to teaching him how to be on podcast in like 5 years. I don't know.
No, but you did the right thing. You already got him on one early,
Yeah,
so at least
yeah.
he's comfortable in front of the mic.
I know he he likes to talk. So if you'll let us Skype in someday, he was born in Manhattan. I don't know when he'll get to come back, but when he does,
City kid.
he will. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
You can teach him everything he'll never learn about riding the subway.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to have Charlie back.
Mm-hmm. Well, this show is going to go on for 25 years. Right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
You know,
Correct.
yeah, this is going to be our Simpsons.
I remember one time early on, you and I, in the Star Wars days,
Uh-huh.
I can't, I don't remember when.
Yeah, so our salad days.
In our, yes, exactly. Just being where we were like, I don't know, we were talking about the future in some way, and you were like, and I was like, what if you have to like move to LA or something? You're like, it's fine, we'll just do it. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll just keep doing it.
I think I also said that won't happen. My career is over. I distinctly remember that.
You say a lot of bullshit.
Listen, to plug my own
I'm
podcast,
retired.
I've been doing Fighting in the War Room for 7 years now, and it's like 2 of us have left New York City.
Yeah.
True.
It has kept going. It's
Lucky number 7.
Honestly, having a podcast is a nice thing, guys.
Can I say, and we do have to talk about our movie at hand because we have about 5 hours of conversation to get to.
Not a short movie either.
But the thing I like about Charlie is already he is an emotionally accessible podcaster because he was comfortable crying on Mike in our episode.
I know.
Very true.
You know?
I know. Is it like really to like transition into you guys becoming a Marin style confessional podcast?
Imagine him on Marin. He would just unlock those gates like crazy.
I think it would go a little something like this.
I didn't like that.
That was my impression of Mark Maron.
I'm looking at my most recent Charlie. Your most recent Charlie.
Who are your diapers?
All right. Great to have you back, Katey.
I'm so happy to be back.
Okay, I'm glad you're happy.
So this is one of the greatest movies ever made.
Yep.
It's called Broadcast News. It is
Broadcast News.
Broadcast News. It's the direct follow-up to a Best Picture winner.
Yeah, although it took him a few years because Terms is 83, right?
Right, and then this is 87. He takes 4 years.
He's a meticulous director.
Was he doing anything else in that period?
I mean, he's probably producing like half a dozen things. Let's look it up.
Taxi was on the air at this point, right?
I'm going to look it up.
Okay. He was doing other shows, but this becomes the thing of like, if you want a Brooks movie, he's going to do it on his own schedule. And especially because it's interesting because he came out of the meat grinder of television, where even though he was a very deliberate, thoughtful writer, it's like, you just got to make it. You got to put a slice of pizza out there every week. It doesn't matter if it's perfect. And he fought a lot of sort of doubt when he went into making Terms of Endearment because you can't go from TV to movies. You're a sitcom guy.
Never
you can't
heard
make
of.
movies.
You know, Taxi goes off the air in 83. Weirdly, he has no credits in between Terms of Endearment and Broadcast News.
Yeah.
I believe he spent most of these years writing and researching this movie. He said he spent like 2 years researching.
It was worth it.
Yes.
Yep.
I mean,
it's such a fucking detailed movie.
Because like Luke Grant is off the air by 82.
Wow.
Tracy Ullman doesn't start, as we mentioned, until 87. So it's like he is kind of chilling. I mean, he's richer than God, so he can do whatever
No,
he
that's
wants.
the crazy thing. He was already richer than God from television before he helped create The Simpsons.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yes.
It's worth mentioning that Terms of Endearment was also crazy successful. In addition to being like critically beloved,
and
it was one of the highest grossing
winner.
films of the year. Yeah. Right. So he really kind of now had it's the thing we are drawn to with directors on the show. He kind of made a space for himself where immediately with one movie, it was like, this is what a James L. Brooks movie is. And you marry that to the whole history of what he had done in television and how he sort of quietly pushed progress into representation, you know, in a very white bread way. Mm-hmm. But Mary Tyler Moore was like this big game changer and everything. And doing sort of a little more erudite, Tony, multi-camera sitcoms. And then even just shit like taking Lou Grant, putting him onto a drama. Like he was a guy who was experimenting in a lot of interesting ways. Terms of Endearment blows up and he wants to make a movie about journalists. Now, he started out thinking he wanted to be a news guy. He worked at news stations when he was young before he got roped up into all of this business. So he decides this is what I want to do and spends like 4 years pretty much researching it. And he
Do we know where he was?
Yes.
Like,
I can tell you all of the context.
Well, I hear you're a connoisseur.
That's what I was waiting for. I was waiting
Damn it.
for.
We're both step on your line.
Did you mention that we were the two friends? I can't remember.
I did. It's a proprietary advantage. No podcast haven't gone.
So he starts hanging out
Susie
with Susan Zirinsky of CBS News.
I call her Susie.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Who I believe is even credited as a producer on the movie.
And technical advisor. Yeah, both.
And who Holly Hunter modeled her whole look on.
And who he based the character off of. I mean, he
yes,
started really
it's all about her.
The crying stuff all comes from her.
Right. Where he just starts shadowing her at CBS News where she's at the Washington Bureau. Mm-hmm. And just that, you know, she had joined the Washington Bureau when she was 20. This is the days back before journalists went to school. Fuck school.
Yeah.
You learn on the job.
Yeah.
And just worked at CBS for like decades. She's now a senior producer on 48 Hours, I think. You want to see a picture of her?
I'm glad you know how to spell her name because I was dying. Wow, look at her.
Well, and she's Holly Hunter's size.
She's Holly Hunter's size.
Wait, what was she
short.
wearing in the mid 80s? Because this is the main thing I want to know. Like, was she wearing long floral skirts and large sweaters? And did she have a bow?
That's a great question.
Like the dress with a big bow on it at the correspondence dinner? Yeah. I mean, I could talk about the fashion of this for about 45 minutes.
Everything about this movie.
I'm trying to find young Susan Zirinsky because there's a lot of current day.
There's a Criterion
Pictures of
edition of
her.
this movie that's excellent with a very long making of sort of retrospective documentary. There's one about James L. Brooks at large, and there's one about this film in particular, and there's a lot of Zarinsky interviews, and I think a lot of photos of her from the time, but I haven't rewatched it. Highly recommend it, though. He wrote the part for Deborah Winger.
Yes. She was going to be in the movie.
And then she got pregnant, like 3 months before filming. And Holly Hunter was sort of just starting to happen. Raising Arizona was kind of the big thing.
Raising Arizona was the same year.
Raising Arizona is the same year.
Yeah.
She was not starting to happen. I mean, like, she was
friends
in,
with the
like,
Coens.
Swing Shift. Like,
Right.
yeah, and I don't think she's even in Blood Simple. She's like a voice or something, right?
Do you know what I think every time I watch this movie? Can you imagine how exciting it must have been to be the casting director and have Holly Hunter walk in?
Holly Hunter's the greatest.
Yeah.
But especially if you don't know that Holly Hunter is like one of the greatest actresses of all time. She's just someone on a list and you go, Holly Hunter?
Yeah.
And she walks in and starts doing this.
Yeah, and she's got that accent and she's
right.
5 feet tall.
I've discovered a movie star. I've given someone the role that's going to give one of the best performances of all time. And also now we have a movie.
Yeah. Yep.
Like Deborah Winger would have done a really good job in this. She's a very good actress. But there's lightning in a bottle in this movie. With Holly Hunter fits this role so well. And also the energy of someone knowing they're getting the big shot.
Yeah, because that's what the movie is about, too. It's
100%.
about somebody who is chasing that big shot at all moments, kind of at the expense of everything else around her, and is not going to, like, stop going after it.
And she's such a weird movie star because she's
She
like
is.
2'1".
Yeah.
She's very small.
She's super aggressive.
Yep.
She's like a little blunderbuss.
Right.
Yeah.
She's got a high-pitched voice, but also like a really heavy twang.
Yep.
She's got a squeaky voice with this, crazy sort of Georgia. Yeah.
Right, but she's got this like Tasmanian devil energy.
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah, she's the best.
Let me give you some. I just want to talk about Holly Hunter for a while. So she's born in Georgia. We know that. She's from Georgia.
Took a midnight train down there.
So she's from near Katey Rich.
Yeah,
town.
I was born in Georgia, actually.
She's
just
from-
barely just over the border.
Conyers?
Conyers is right outside
Conyers.
Atlanta.
That's where she's from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, 24 miles east of Atlanta. Okay. She goes to Carnegie Mellon, like they all have, just the classic Hollywood track.
Right.
Gets a degree in drama. Moves to New York City with who?
Frances McDormand.
Frances McDormand.
Fran McDormand. They were
Lives
roommates.
where?
In the Coen's apartment, right?
At the end of the D train.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in the Bronx. Up in like Arthur Avenue territory,
Yeah.
Starts doing what?
Plays.
Off Broadway.
She gets practice.
Yeah.
No. And then, she moves to LA in 82, but she's basically not in a movie for 5 years.
Yeah.
Has that little role in Swing Shift. That's it.
But the big thing was it was the two of them hanging out with the Coens at that time.
Yeah, man.
Right. So they kind of were lucky enough to be in the right place and identify two of the best actresses of a generation.
How did they never put Frances McDormand and Holly Hunter together, to team them? I mean, it's a lot of energy for one movie.
Yeah.
A lot of energy.
I mean,
are they never in a movie together?
I don't think so.
Now that's blowing my mind.
Oh, well, no.
Well, they're both in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
And Frances McDormand's in
no,
Raising
they're
Arizona.
Not. No, they're not.
Yes, Frances McDormand is in
she
Raising
is.
Arizona.
That's the one I'm
She
thinking.
comes over.
That's absolutely
That's
right.
like the only time they've ever done a
And
scene
Frances
together,
McDormand is doing a very not Frances McDormand-y kind of part where she's kind of like the airhead friend. So you got to get something. What's the
I'm
thing?
sure there's another one, and now I'm struggling to think. I guess there isn't though.
Yeah.
That's weird. Sorry. Why aren't they? Yeah, they should all hang out.
It's very bizarre.
I mean, in a movie.
Yeah. It is those weird things about when you find out decades after that two iconic, huge movie stars were close friends before they were famous and then their careers just never passed again.
Like how Connie Britton and Lauren Graham were roommates for many years.
Really?
I love that
I don't
fact. It's a great fact. Let's only talk about women on this podcast.
Yes.
Then we won't be tarnished months later when it turns out the fucking,
Yeah.
Anyway, because you know what role she gets off of broadcast news? That was supposed to be the next huge. Always.
Now she's Spielberg's brought her in. She's going to be Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah.
Right, which is Spielberg seeing her in this and being she could be the greatest sort of old-fashioned romantic lead firecracker lady.
Right.
And she is. I think she's awesome in that movie, but that movie is fucking bizarre.
Yeah. And then she goes more serious and does her run of
The piano.
The
The piano's a
Firm.
little while
She wins her
later.
Oscar.
She only makes one movie in between Always and The Piano. She doesn't do a lot of movies
Yeah.
unless she really wants to, I think. Then The Firm, right.
Right.
She's great in that.
That's a double nomination year, right?
Yes. And then Copycat.
Oh boy. Okay.
Let's see what else we got. Crash, of course.
Right.
A good Crash.
Right.
Home for the Holidays.
Yep.
Great movie.
A Jodie Foster film.
A Life Less Ordinary. I didn't even remember she was in that.
Yeah.
And honestly, by the time it's the aughts,
Yeah.
I feel like she's sort of like the supporting player who, will like sort of pop up in your movie once in a while. Like she's already not a lead anymore.
It was surprising when she got the 13 nomination too.
She's so good in that.
Yeah.
That movie's stupid, but she's so good in that.
She's one of the best actors alive.
Yep, for sure.
But she also I don't know. She holds back. She makes us yearn for more Holly Hunter.
Well, she had a 46 episode series on USA.
Right. Fuck. It's even great. Like,
I know.
That's the thing we never think about.
That show was really weird.
Really weird.
Yeah.
Really,
well, that was
really
a period
weird.
where she, Keira Sedgwick, Glenn Close, and someone else.
Mary McCormick, who doesn't quite fit, but
like they all had like their series on cable.
Yes. Characters were welcome at that time and place,
especially in the various Turner networks. Yeah, because she did the Positively True Adventures of Alexis, Texas cheerleader, murdering mom. That's another like big TV movies of the.
And of course we're forgetting
she played Roe in Roe versus Wade, which is another TV movie.
She drank a jar of Granny's peach tea in BVS DOJ.
Yes, she did.
Yes, she did.
She's been nominated for how many Oscars? 4 if she gets nominated for The Big Sick.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so it's only 3?
Which I'm assuming she will.
Yeah, it's the piano, and it's 13.
Yep, that's it.
Now, I need to talk about the thing. If we're going to talk
about 4 because of The Firm. I forgot about The Firm. So it'll be 5 with The Big Sick. Because The Firm nomination's so weird.
Double nomination in 1 year.
No, it's the Julianne Moore.
Yes, except it worked for her.
It worked for her. She won. Yeah.
Right. And what's her name? Jessica Lange pulled off the same trick. She would not have won for Tootsie if she didn't have Frances that same year.
Right. Yes.
Usually the double nomination, they give you one of them. Yeah. Sigourney whiffed twice in one night. So did Julie Moore.
It's been a while since that's happened.
Yeah.
Is Julianne Moore the last one?
Moore is the last one for sure. Right?
Jamie Foxx.
What?
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
Collateral and Ray.
Did he really get nominated for Collateral?
He should have been a lead. That
That's
should have been
problem.
his nomination.
Yeah.
No.
Well, he is good in Ray.
Did Leo do it at the Oscars, or was it only...
It was at the SAG.
Oh, because like at the Globes where he was in Blood Diamond.
And Blood Diamond. Yeah, that was SAG. Because SAG, strict categories. So you can only vote for them within a category.
Golden Globe gave him lead for Departed. SAG gave him supporting for Departed.
This is what happens when Katey is on the
podcast. You've already had this year's Blankies with Joe, so I'm just bringing it all back.
That's true. We probably just did that a month ago.
What categories do I do this year?
Oh, you got to think.
I don't know.
On the record, what categories are you going to do?
Who's going to get the best movie that should have had hand puppets as all the actors? I don't know.
Yeah, let's take time to have you brainstorm what you're going to do 2 weeks ago. This is a great segment that people want to hear, Ben. Ding dong.
Griff, get the door.
Okay, let me just...
I recognize that music.
Hello!
Oh, boy.
It's me! Luigi!
Okay, yeah. I was wondering.
You never know. They're similar looking.
What are you, colorblind? It's me!
Well, thanks for pointing that out, Luigi.
Is this tech support?
This is a Blank Check podcast.
Podcast
studio.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I need help.
What's the problem,
Luigi? I want to transfer my Wii games. I need the Wii transfer.
I don't know what that even means.
I'm furious
I've
right now.
ripped my Wii games onto a computer. Wii! Help me transfer them. I'm a Luigi.
Okay.
Reddit debates over whether or not I have genitalia. I'm Luigi.
What's your last name? By the way, can I just clarify something before I tell you about something that might interest you? Is your last name really Mario?
Yeah, Luigi Mario.
All right. Okay, cool. Mario Brothers. I mean, yeah. Well, would you be interested in a service called WeTransfer?
Yes, it sounds exactly like what I want.
Okay, well, it's all about
WeTransfer.
It's all about making the creative process easier for everyone.
Oh.
They built their site to be the simplest way to share big files around the world for free. There's no sign-in. There's no offer codes. There's no password that you're going to forget. You just upload the file, you send it, and you get back to making what you make.
Oh, it sounds like I can use that for my EP as well.
You've got an EP?
Yeah, I'm a SoundCloud rapper. It's me, Luigi.
Your accent is I don't know where it is, but it's bleeding on some edge.
I don't think so.
It's sort of like Transylvanian.
Nah,
blah, blah, blah.
Well, 40 million people use WeTransfer to send and receive files every month. And since day one, they've devoted 30% of their ad space to showcasing creative people around the world. Musicians.
That many people transferred Super Mario Galaxy.
Photographers, illustrators, podcasters, plumbers. I don't know. Right?
Yeah.
It's an art of plumbing. It's an art. The plumbing's an art.
It's not even. What is it? It's like
Italian.
Dutch. Plumbing's an art.
Spaghetti, calzone.
Well, Luigi, in the spirit of what I just described, we're going to skip the rest of this ad and get right back to the podcast. It's WeTransfer.com. You make WeTransfer. And Griffin and I have used this.
Well, I don't make. Nintendo company makes, and then I transfer the Wii.
Luigi, can you chill out for a second? Griffin, we've actually shared files using WeTransfer
all the time
since they became friends of the show, and it's way easier than any other process.
My Mario and Luigi /fic. I always use WeTransfer to transfer that to you, and it gets to you just as fast as that /fic gets my blood boiling.
I was thinking more of film clips, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, the /fic.
Look, just because you don't open the files doesn't mean I haven't sent them to you.
Honestly, you could stop sending it to us. We don't want to.
It's almost too easy to get them with WeTransfer too. Like that's the thing; they're like too accessible.
Stop sharing my personal stories. Oh wait, that stuff's real. Oh boy,
you're right.
You might want to hop on out of here, Luigi.
Okay, so where were we?
This is a necessary thing to talk about because this has been a big aspect of my life.
Okay.
My mother looks a lot like Holly Hunter, and people think my mom is Holly Hunter.
Your mother does look a lot like Holly Hunter. It's weird. Like, I haven't even met your mother. I've only seen her, if that makes sense. Like, because at the time we saw Star Wars at the Ziegfeld, which Katey was also at.
Yeah.
Your mom was met there? Her. Yeah.
I have, yes.
You met her at the
his mom was there. Everyone was there. His mom famously got up right before Han Solo got killed on screen. Spoiler alert.
And at the end of the movie, she said, "Isn't it weird that Han Solo is just like not in the last 20 minutes at all?" Like at the end, they show everyone saying goodbye.
And Leia looks so sad, and we don't know why.
Oh, it's so funny. I remember her getting up and wanting to say to this woman I have not met, being like, no, don't just sit down.
This tiny, flinty Holly Hunter.
She's quite small framed.
My mom, very similar build to Holly Hunter, very similar hair color, fairly similar facial shapes.
Frencher.
Yeah, I would assume not with a thick Georgia accent.
Right. She's French, but she speaks in a pretty standard transatlantic kind of accent, and then but they have very similar looks, and they dress fairly similarly. And especially like I'd say 10 or 12 years ago, there was like a point of confluence where my mom was getting stopped all the time. Where she went to a clothing store, someone would be like, "Hey, can I help you?" And like the employees would like bend over backwards and start calling her Ms. Hunter.
Oh man,
yeah, sure. I wish I could do her.
Dash, I need you to run as fast as you can.
That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
She's gentler in The Incredibles, slightly.
So good
she has that area.
Like,
I also think my mom looks
she's
like
so good in The Incredibles.
Elastigirl.
Looks like Elastigirl.
Yeah.
I love Holly Hunter.
Anyway, I don't know if I've told this story in the podcast before, but I was new at a high school, right? It was my freshman year of high school. I had just gotten there. I had two friends who knew me well enough and had met my parents and knew for a fact my mom wasn't Holly Hunter. And I was talking to them about the fact that everyone thinks my mom's Holly Hunter. And they were like, "What if we pretend that your mom's Holly Hunter?" So the next day, or whatever it was, a couple weeks later, the Oscar nominations come out. She gets the 13 nomination.
Oh.
And in a pre-smartphone era where people couldn't get that information, people come to me and they said, like, "Hey, I heard you have the Oscar. What are the Oscar nominations?" Because they knew I'd memorized all of them already. Right?
You had a brand up.
I stayed in late, so I could watch the nominations before I went to school. And what I would do was I would announce them while one of those two friends was around me. And I'd go Best Supporting Actress, Marcia Gay Harden, Mystic River, Renee Zellweger, Cold Mountain, Holly Hunter 13. And then one of them would go, "Oh my God, your mom got nominated?" Went, yeah. So anyway, and I would just keep on moving. So Hooray, Gashaloo, House of Sin and Fog.
Great performance.
Would make them ask like, "Wait, who's Griffin's mom?"
Oh, you had like your confidence man, like your plant in the audience.
Right. So then people kept on saying like, "Your mom got nominated?" I was like, yeah. But I just would never say it. I would act coy.
No, you had to play cool about it.
Someone asked me, "So how did your mom react?" And I was like, "Oh, she was still sleeping when I left for school." The next week, the Entertainment Weekly Oscar issue comes out. They do their little profile of each of the actors. And they said, "So how did one-time winner and four-time nominee Holly Hunter react to the news of her latest nomination?" I was sleeping at the time. I didn't find out about it. And everyone came back to me and was like, we thought you were lying, but you were telling the truth. So I went by Griffin Hunter Newman for like a lot of high school to try to trick people into it.
Did you feel like you were trapped in the lie at that point, or did you feel like it was really benefiting you?
No, I felt like Steve Ranazizi. I felt totally oppressed by
Good call.
by the lie I had made. And
Remember Steve Ranazizi?
Yeah. I told my mom because my sister Romley was much younger, so she'd come by to pick up Romley from like preschool, which was in the same building.
Yeah.
I said, like, if you come by, you don't have to lie to anyone. You don't have to say.
Oh, so you told her. You like owned up fast.
I was like, if someone comes up to you and says Miss Hunter, don't correct them. If they ask you what your name is, you can be honest.
And she went along with this.
Yeah.
You think we could get him on the pod?
Ranazizi?
Yeah.
Yeah, he told me he'd do it, but I don't know if he's telling the truth.
He told you he'd do it right after he gets off work at Merrill Lynch.
Yes.
Sorry.
If you Google me online, my name still comes up with Hunter in it at most places. My mom's pretty angry about it. My mom calls the photos of her in the Big Sick now.
Wait, what?
When you Google me,
Yes.
now that there's like more information
Wait,
out
so
about me,
you're saying your Wikipedia entry's wrong?
every other name I have there is
Griffin, Claude, Beresford, Dauphin, Hunter, Newman.
true. One of those is false.
I'm deleting Hunter.
Don't do it.
Why not?
My mom will be really happy.
Well, because your high school friends will finally figure out you've been lying about this.
Yeah. My mom thinks I've been like forcefully reasserting that lie. And I'm like, the internet is a life of its own. Because that was like my Facebook name when I was 15. So now everyone like edits it into everything because they thought it was real.
So are like your high school classmates editing your Wikipedia entry?
I don't know. I have no idea how anything works anymore.
I don't really know how it works either.
But I went to go see The Big Sick with Romilly, and literally every outfit Holly Hunter wears in that movie is a collection of clothing items that my mom has, and I like couldn't pay attention to the film.
I like what she wears in that movie. It looks
She dresses very well. My mom's a stylish lady.
It looks comfortable.
Yeah. Anyway, I've always felt like a kinship to Holly Hunter because of that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this was maybe one of the first times. I watched Raising Arizona really young, but didn't like it at the time.
Raising Arizona is like the best.
It's
Yeah,
the best.
it took me weirdly a long time to realize that.
I
though.
adore that movie.
I watched it
you
when I
love
was,
that
like,
movie, right,
love
Katie? I
that
feel
movie.
like we've
Yeah,
talked about Raising
I
Arizona.
usually, it's like picking a favorite Coens, I feel like is like every day you can pick a different one.
Yeah.
But like I often default to Raising Arizona as my favorite Coen.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel
I think it's a decent favorite Coen.
I do too. This was probably the first time I really engaged with Holly Hunter in like a full force way after knowing for years just about her being like a doppelganger to my mother.
But you didn't see this till you were like older,
I
right?
saw this when I was like 10
Oh man.
because there was that AFI 100 funniest movies
Yeah.
special that they did, like 100 years, 100 laughs,
Mhm.
funny times for funny people. They did like a primetime special.
Shout out Mike Ryan.
Shout out to Mike Ryan.
Mhm.
They did a primetime special with a countdown, and at Blockbuster, they would hand out a little booklet with 100 movies, and I became obsessed with going through all of them. Because I was a connoisseur of comedy. Before I was a connoisseur of
We're
context.
going to talk about the movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Broadcast news charted really high, so I remember watching it very young.
He's got all these fucking stories.
And liking it, but also I was 10, and I was like, why is this so sad?
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
I had a
No,
hard
yeah.
time swallowing the sadness to it.
Because you're also watching like Animal Crackers or like
Right.
Monty
Yeah.
Python.
Right. And then I probably didn't see it again until maybe I was 19. And then was like, oh, this is one of the greatest films ever made, and I watch it once a year now.
You talking about Raising Arizona?
I'm talking about broadcast news.
Okay,
I am
good.
on topic.
So-
hey, just checking in from
Oh my
the
God.
booth.
Sure.
Are we going to talk about Albert Brooks' career? Are we going to get into the plot? Where are we at?
I got it.
Okay, good.
Don't worry.
You brag about how you keep us on track.
Yeah,
but,
well,
you know.
Jesus, he's on and
Ben,
on
just
about
feed me the
God
lines.
knows what.
We'll establish a rhythm. We'll be like sex. Feed me the
You're
lines.
The connoisseur.
You're the
of
connoisseur of context.
And now I would like to discuss
And the thing I'd like to discuss now is
Albert Brooks.
Albert Brooks and
Because he is
his
such a
No,
significant
career. They
I
call him
hate this.
Tomcats.
of
I hate this bit.
era.
They call him Tomcats, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the hardest planes to fly.
Are you riffing on me, Griffin?
It's a rhythm. It's
I
exciting.
mean, Brooks is, Lost in America comes out in 85. Brooks is just sort of established at this point, right? I mean,
he was like a huge icon of cult comedy. He was like a Tonight Show favorite.
Tonight Show favorite. He'd been done his SNL.
Right. He did all the short
shorts
films
and stuff.
I mean, he has one of the best, like, A Star Is Born stories ever. Like, better than the, like, Lana Turner being
Well,
discovered.
Okay,
at the
I want to
grocery
hear this
store.
story. We're
He
going
was
to talk about the
born
movie.
Albert Einstein, as we
Yes.
all know.
Yes.
Yes. But do you know this story?
He went to Carnegie Mellon just like Holly Hunter.
Before that,
Yeah, go on.
he was born Albert Einstein because his parents thought they were really funny.
Uh-huh.
His brother, Bob Einstein, also
Mhm.
known as Marty Funkhauser, Super Dave Osborne,
Right.
he was childhood best friends with Rob Reiner. They grew up next to the Reiners.
Fair enough. And Rob Reiner, son of Carl, of course. Yeah.
And in the late 60s, early 70s, maybe, Carl Reiner was on The Tonight Show, and Johnny Carson asked him, who do you think is the funniest person alive? And his answer was, my son's friend Albert.
Right.
Wow.
And he gave a whole speech about how his son's 10-year-old friend Albert Brooks was the funniest person
and how
alive.
Rob Reiner is not worth a damn.
Right. But he was like kind of anointed at that moment.
Yeah.
And it took him a while to start popping, but like he always had this glow around him because it was like Carl Reiner at the peak of his powers.
Said he was the funniest person alive.
Right. So he was like on The Tonight Show like 20 times in his early 20s, was making short films for Saturday Night Live, like was too big to join the cast of Saturday Night Live by the time Saturday Night Live started. Did these stand-up albums that were like legendary and then just was like, I don't want to do stand-up ever again. And just stopped.
Yeah.
And then I'm making movies now.
Yeah.
And he starts doing that, makes himself like an auteur.
Yeah, because he made Real Life, which is I think 79.
Modern Love.
Modern Romance.
Sorry.
Which is 83 maybe?
Sure.
Let me look it up. Actually, I want to know. 81. Sorry. Oh boy, that was embarrassing. Then Lost in America, which is, in my opinion, a perfect movie.
I weirdly have never been able to love that movie.
That's why they call it Las Vegas gambling.
I'm all about Gary Marshall in that movie giving the greatest performance in the history of cinema.
Quoting, yes.
Santa Claus!
So, yeah, he's an established, great comedian, right?
It's kind of a big move for him to be in this movie, though, because he was mostly doing his own films or little tiny bits and stuff. This is someone really using him as an actor. For
he had been in Taxi Driver, let's not forget,
right.
which is his first
Which I don't
film
remember
role.
at all.
Really? You should watch Taxi Driver.
Well,
what a
it's
movie.
been a long time since I saw it. I don't remember him being in it.
He kind of plays
he's
the
nice
same
guy.
character.
Yeah, he's Sybil Shepherd's.
I was about to say, does he work with Sybil? Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I definitely saw Taxi Driver before I saw Broadcast News.
He's in it a lot, though.
Yes.
Like, and he has the I believe he has a square box. Oh no, maybe he doesn't. It doesn't matter. He's also in Private Benjamin.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He dies over a kitchen sink.
Yes, he's
bathroom sink.
He's in Unfaithfully Yours. Although I think that's a small role.
So he did more. Yeah.
But then also, of course, he has made his movies.
Yeah.
3 of his movies. He's going to make Defending Your Life next with Meryl Streep, which is a great movie.
I agree with that.
He's Albert Brooks, and I love him.
And he gets his one
in general
and only Oscar nomination for this movie.
That's right, because they snubbed him for Drive, which was weird.
Yeah, man, we all thought that was going to happen. He thought that was going to happen.
Well, not only did we all he won LAFCA, or no, he didn't actually win LAFCA. He won, a zillion critics awards.
I remember even after he got snubbed at the Globes, they said, look, this is still a 2-person race. It was
between him and whoever won that
who won
year.
that year. Yeah, it was like it's either
Christopher
Brooks
Plummer
or
year?
him.
I think it is.
I think it was. I think it was Plummer v. Brooks. Dawn of Justice.
It's not a weird one. He's good in that movie.
And then the third leg of this triangle, obviously, is The Big Hurt.
The Big Hurt. How do you feel about Billy Hurt?
I mean, I have not finished your Lost in Space episode, which is the most recent one as we were
I love your wife.
You have to go through the planet.
I think it's hard. Like, so I was I've seen The Big Chill also a million years ago, and I was tried to put it on the other day to be like, all right, this movie. And I got like 10 minutes in, and Charlie didn't want to watch it. So, watching movies with babies is a challenge.
The Big Chill is an incredibly watchable movie.
Yeah, I like it's on Hulu. I'm like glad to know that it's there.
It certain things about it sting a little bit where you're like, oh, okay, who cares?
But you're also saying, I mean, babies are kind of like Armand White. Like, they're very, very selective.
Very selective. And
very Mike D'Angelo. They walk out of a lot of movies.
Oh, yeah. Just so he wants to go play with some blocks instead. Who can blame him? I think I didn't like. I was born in the 80s. I wasn't tuned into it. Like, I'm not up on my 80s prestige enough to get William Hurt movie star. Because he was a gigantic movie star.
This is the tail end of that.
And like a heartthrob, too. That's the other thing. He was like a sex.
Well, because in this, you get the like news anchor heartthrob, but like he's a heartthrob to the extent that like Peter Jennings was.
Yeah, he has that
he's got the
preppy
like
look.
nice look about
But
him.
at this point, this is almost postmodern use of William Hurt.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Altered States is his first starring role.
Which is great.
Great film.
Yeah.
Body Heat is the year after. I know Griffin's a big fan of Body Heat.
Steams it up. Yeah.
Sexy movie. Then you got The Big Chill.
Yeah.
No Oscar nominations yet. And Gorky Park, which is an underrated little thriller.
Okay.
Then 85, Kiss of the Spider Woman. He wins the Oscar.
Yeah.
Wins everything. Great movie. He kisses a spider woman. And then 86, Children of a Lesser God.
Yeah.
Second Oscar nomination in a row. He kisses a deaf woman. I don't know. I mean, I've never seen Children of a Lesser
haven't
God.
either.
It's good.
Yeah?
No, I've never saw it.
He was just feeding me the line. It's good.
And then 87 broadcast news, third Oscar nomination for lead actor in a row, which I think was sort of like a crazy streak at the time. And then Accidental Tourist in 88.
That's a big movie.
I watched that movie. It sucks. That movie is
really
no good. Yeah.
I've never seen it. It's a cast.
It's like a super like man down on his like luck, falls in love with this wild woman who teaches him how to love again.
Right, she's
like,
a classic manic pixie.
Yeah,
right,
it's crazy that like she never gets brought up in that mold because she's so right there in it.
Castings don't hold up very well. I can find it.
He's no good.
No.
I sadly agree. Alice. And then it's like, holy shit. Like, I'm going to read you names and you're not going to know it. Right. Until the End of the World, The Doctor, The Plague, Mr. Wonderful, Second Best, Trial by Jury. It's like, what happened to him? Was his agent like drunk for years?
Well, he had a big drinking problem for a long time.
Did he?
I think he had his demons and he was very, very difficult. I think he was one of those guys where they go like, life's too short for William Hurt.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how big a star he is. Doesn't matter how good he is. I don't want to put up with it.
And then it's like by the time you get to Lost in Space in 98. It's like this, he looks so furious to be in that movie.
Yeah.
And he's committed in some way.
Right.
Like, he is still doing his thing, but he just looks like mad about everything.
And we talked about he kind of boned out for a while after Lost in Space. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's in One True Thing the same year, but then it's kind of just like, he's like, sure, Steven Spielberg, I'll do one scene in AI.
One scene.
Yeah.
2 scenes.
Cronenberg, I'll come do 2 scenes.
Well, that's...
But then it felt like, oh, this is his new career revival. And then he didn't really take that baton and run with it.
He keeps making movies, though. It's just, except for Thunderbolt Ross, of course, our favorite Marvel Universe character.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Did he die in the newest one?
No, they have him to a 20-picture deal. They're going to keep on using.
He's like in Civil War. I do not remember anything.
I remember when we saw the Civil War trailer and I said, can you imagine the Marvel intern who's like going through the files and then just runs through the hallways going like, wait, we have 5 more pictures with William Hurt. We forgot. We still got him.
Put him on the poster.
But yeah, this
who's in Damages. Speaking of, clothes.
He's recently been on something called Beowulf: Return to the Shieldlands.
No, he hasn't. I don't believe you. I call shenanigans on that.
Unfortunately, he has. He's Hrothgar.
Okay.
Shout out to Hrothgar.
People like him on
He was also in Dune. Remember that? He was
right.
Duke Atreides.
The TV
what do they
Dune.
like him in?
Yeah.
On Humans, the like BBC show.
So why is he doing all these English shows?
I don't know.
Fuck her.
Does he live there?
I think he was on that last season of Damages where everyone was on Damages,
Yeah,
right? There's
yeah,
one
yeah.
season where like Marty Short, Lily Tomlin,
Yeah.
Tate Donovan, John Goodman, Dylan Baker.
Oh God, there was some. Oh God, Damages really was the show that got my billing brain just all wired up. Because there was one season with like 2 withs and 4 ands or something where I was just like, I can't believe this is happening. I'm so happy
Also
right now.
Van Damme. Billing on this is fascinating just because
Holly's third bill.
that's the thing. A year later, the billing would have been totally flipped. Like Brooks would always be 2 out of 3.
Yeah, and you notice they, at least in the closing credits, they spelled Joan Cusack's name wrong.
Really?
They leave out the second C.
That's rude. So she's like,
Isn't that rude?
That's very
S.A.K.?
harsh. Cusack.
Yeah, Cusack, which I think is a way that people have spelled that name.
It's probably the sort of original way, right?
Probably.
And she's already gotten fired from SNL at this point, right?
Probably.
This is like in between.
You want me to do Cusack now?
Yeah, and then let's do Robert Prosky.
Oh yeah, can we do Cusack?
What a legend! I've had Robert Prosky's career open in a tab since before we started. He's the best.
Grandpa Fred from Gremlins 2, The New Batch.
We got to do a Gremlins 2 episode.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, she's on SNL from 85 to 86. So yeah. So she's already done her SNL run.
She's out of the Hughes kind of teen comedy.
She was in
thing.
16 Candles.
Right.
No, well, she's going to be in Say Anything though in 89. That's not Hughes though.
Oh yeah, right.
Obviously,
Right, but at that point she's an adult.
movie?
She plays a
Say
single mother.
Anything. ...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then becomes one of the quietest and least heralded 2-time Academy Award nominees in history.
And 2 weird nominations.
Yeah.
Okay,
Both
and I
deserved.
remember In and Out. I don't remember the other one.
Working Girl.
Oh yeah, the In and Out nomination. Like, I will treasure that.
She should be a 5-time nominee at this point.
Yeah. Well,
She's the
she should have
best.
just won for In and Out.
She's so fucking good in fucking School of Rock.
I was gonna say she should have been nominated so fucking hard for School of Rock.
Nominator. I'm really trying to find the Damages season 2 opening credits, and let me tell you, it is not easy. Gonna do that all day. All right. So
Broadcast News opens with a little boy in a truck.
True.
Like all great movies
Oh,
do.
wait, do we want to talk about this guy? I think his name is Jack Nicholson.
No, we'll get to him
No,
later.
he's uncredited. We'll mention him only at the end.
That's true. He's not in the opening credits, but he is in the closing credits.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once the surprise has been revealed.
That is a thing that I don't think Jack Nicholson gets fully enough credit for, is for how big a movie star he was, how willing he was to play supporting parts.
Mm.
You know, like even in terms of endearment, obviously, like Reds, you know, something like this where like he's uncredited, but he's got a fair amount of stuff in this movie.
Yeah, he's got one big scene and then, you know, some pickups.
We filmed like 3 days.
Sure. But it's more than
he
just
clearly
like,
clearly with Brooks, he's just like, James, anything you need.
That's pretty good.
Jimmy,
I'll do anything.
except for I'll do anything, which I won't do. That thing's a disaster. Because he's in 3 out of 6, Brooks, or 4?
He's in 3 out of 6.
Because he's in terms.
He's in 4 out of 6.
Terms broadcast as good as it gets, and how do you know? Yeah, he's in 4 out of 6.
He's in
pretty
4 out of 6. 2 of his 3 Oscar wins come from Brooks,
which is nuts, and is kind of wrong. Even though he's great in those movies that he won for, it's weird that's how.
And we'll cover this in its own episode, but Bill Murray was fully set to play the dad in How Do You Know, and only dropped out of the film 3 days after filming started when he refused to show up. And James L. Brooks was like, Jack, please, the movie's already on the rails. Help me out, my buddy, my pal. I got you 2 Oscars. Can you please show up? And he's like, yeah, James, I'll do it as a favor to you. All I ask in return is $12 million.
Well, they had already spent, $50 million in 3 days of production?
An apartment or something. God knows what they spent that money on. We will get to that. That is his last film appearance.
$12 million, Jimmy.
It's fine. Unless he makes that Tony Erdmann movie, which I'm all about.
Or brings back Anger Management.
Yeah, Charlie Sheen already did it, but sure.
Prequel.
Or
how to get so mad.
You have to... When Ben was saying that, he was holding his arms out like Beetlejuice saying it's showtime. It was like a triumphant victory laugh of a joke.
God damn it.
Could people hear you remove your headphones in disgust, David? Or
I'm
that
so angry about that.
So this movie starts in a truck with a very handsome little boy.
Yeah,
he feels very frustrated by his lack of ability.
He's so cute, that little boy.
He's so cute.
He's the most successful of the 3 little ones, in my opinion.
Oh, I think the Albert Brooks one. He's Albert Brooksy.
He is pretty good.
I think Little Hunter is hitting the bullseye.
She's just, it's a lot of dialogue she has to say. I just like, she's very cute. It's just the hardest.
It's the way the little Brooks goes, you'll never make more than $19,000 a year.
So that's pretty good.
The conviction that he says it with.
Good. It's true.
And he also has that palpable sadness in his eyes.
I know.
So
that Brooksian sadness.
So that's the opening.
Right.
Yeah, I had remembered feeling like these were kind of like unnecessary and a little cheesy.
They're a little jokey.
But like I love the movie so much that I'm like happy to see them. And I do feel like it does this genuine like establishing them as endearing from the very beginning.
Yes.
So like William Hurt shows up as like a stuffed shirt and you're like, but he just wants to do right.
Yes.
And
I think it's the most crucial for him.
And you know he's being genuine when he meets her, that he's not just like trying to sleep with her or take advantage of her or whatever.
Right.
These are also like each of these characters they're like a Gordian knot of a person and establishes like the central internal conflict to each of them, which is like William Hurt is a guy who's so aware of his limitations and can't stop succeeding, and feels the guilt about that.
Yeah.
Like Albert Brooks is someone who knows he's superior, but is constantly punished for it, but also hates himself. So doesn't think he really deserves better. And then Holly Hunter is someone whose like intelligence is a burden. Like she cannot figure out how to relate to human beings in a normal way.
Yep.
Because she's so on top of things and so ambitious. I just love that speech about like choosing your words carefully.
And then she kisses him at the end, which is so nice. It's like
sweet.
She throws this back at her dad and like has so much affection for him.
Well, and like in a movie full of like diamond cut, like perfect, like fucking daggers of dialogue. The one that I always think about the most, aside from the opening one that we butchered,
I did great.
You did a great job.
You did
a great job. Is the it must be great constantly knowing that you're the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
No, it's awful. Which is just like the entire Like, that's what this whole movie's about.
Yeah, because the amazing thing about her character, and this happens throughout, and we'll keep talking about it, is that she has this like hard shell about her, but there's no pretending. It's not like she's trying to act like she's got her shit together. Like she's open about all of this. So she says to like the head of the network, like kind of admitting this turmoil inside of her, and like it just keeps popping up. And like you think it's what makes people like Joan Cusack or the guy who plays Bobby like want to work with her is that she is competent, but like not trying to pull one over on everybody.
She's incredibly honest and transparent. And then even though no one else knows how much she cries in private.
Right.
And
which is very early.
Just like,
well, don't you see her unplug the phone? The credits are still rolling. I think
yes.
James L. Brooks' name is over her sobbing. But just the fact that she can take the cord out of the phone and be disconnected from the world. That's all it takes.
And there's also this thing where like the film's moving pretty fast at the beginning, setting everyone up, getting these little kind of bursts of scenes, especially just with like the childhood incidents. And then when it goes to her with the phone and she unplugs, then suddenly the movie just like stops and the credits are still going, but there's no music. And she's just sitting there still. And you're like, why are they holding for this long? And then suddenly she just starts crying. But there's like 15 or 20 seconds before she even starts grimacing. Where you're just watching Holly Hunter still on a bed.
It's impressive to the point of being off-putting where you're like, I can't believe they lead with this. Like, this,
it's a confident movie.
It's confident because like this could easily make people too uncomfortable too quickly.
Well, because she's already had these two cute conversations with Albert Brooks. Like you get that they have this like
and we're
good
supposed to be watching this. You're like, oh yes, I'm watching a romantic comedy about a career woman who can't figure it out, and it's going to be great.
That the man she loves is right there.
He's right around the corner, right on the other end of the phone, and it's going to be staring her, whatever, right? And then she just like is suddenly crying like a maniac, and you're kind of like.
So, do you think the crying is triggered by him? Because this is what I thought about when I wrote like all her 3 major crying scenes are all kind of after big moments with him. Because I think the one in the office is the day after the correspondence dinner.
That's true.
I never thought of it that way. It seemed like more of like an existential dread thing.
I always thought of it as that thing. I feel like we've talked about Griffin where it's like she's too busy. So like this is the time in the day that she can cry. Like, down to the methodical sort of like take the phone off the hook. And it's just sort of like this is where I have a moment for an outpouring of emotion. Sleepy, buddy?
Yeah, I want to take a nap.
You interested perhaps in a sleep brand that makes expertly designed products to help you get your best rest one night at a time?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I'm interested in.
All right, well, let me tell you about Casper.
Okay, never heard of him.
You spend 1/3 of your life sleeping, Griff. So you might as well be comfortable.
Yeah, the problem is it's the wrong third. It's never the right time.
That's true.
I need all the help I can get, David.
Okay, well, the original Casper mattress combines multiple supportive memory foams for a quality sleep surface with the right amounts of both sink and bounce.
Oh, bounce, baby.
Yeah, exactly. And they offer 2 other mattresses, the Wave and the Essential.
Okay.
And the Wave has a patent-pending premium support system that mirrors the shape of your body.
Oh, like bad? Like the bad shape of my body?
And the Essential has a streamlined design with a price that won't keep you up at night.
Well, that's great because right now, almost anything will keep me up at night. I need no encouragement to stay up.
This is getting a little real, but these are affordable prices, so they cut out the middleman. They just send the box directly to you, and it's a mattress.
Well, that's amazing. But, here's something that would stress me out. If for 100 nights I felt the risk of trying it out, not sure if I was going to like it or not.
You can be sure of your purchase with Casper's 100-night risk-free, sleep on it guarantee.
100 nights? Sleep on guarantee?
You can be sure of your purchase with Casper's 100-night risk-free, sleep on it trial.
Okay, now here's something kind of embarrassing. I'm a jingoist. Can you promise me that this was designed, developed, and assembled in the U.S.?
That is right, my friend. It was, and I own a Casper mattress. And I sleep on it with my body.
Okay, but here's a little contradictory thing. I have some friends I want to get Casper mattresses in Canada. Can I get it shipped to them for free?
I think you can.
Yeah, free shipping and returns in the U.S. and Canada?
Oh, my God.
This is unbelievable. Well, David, you're just speaking about this impersonally from some place of remove. You have no experience with this product. Why should I believe you?
Definitely do. I sleep on a Casper mattress. I have a great time doing it. It's came right to my house, and I just opened up the box and out it flumped.
It flumped?
It flumped.
Okay, wait.
It flumps out.
How do I get this deal?
All right, well, you can get $50 towards select mattresses by visiting casper.com/check and using check at checkout. Terms and conditions apply.
I just check out is what you're saying.
No, you go to casper.com/check and use promo code check at checkout.
Okay, check to make
Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, I'll read into that. I love a good reading assignment.
This applies to select mattresses, and you can get $50 off any readers.
Okay. Well, excuse me, I'm just going to take a quick nap. I'm going to take a quick nap. Ben, cut this out. And then when we're done with the episode, I'm going to order myself a mattress.
Guys, I found it. Here's the billing from Damages Season 2.
Thank God.
Glenn Close.
Okay.
Rose Byrne.
Correct.
Tate Donovan.
Okay.
With Marcia Gay Harden.
Oh, she was on it too.
And Timothy Oliphant. And William Hurt. And Ted Danson. That's wild.
That's insane.
It's one with and three ands, not two withs and four ands.
And everyone else we've talked about was just a guest star.
No, well, the
Short,
other people,
Tomlin, Goodman.
they pop up in other seasons.
Baker,
you know, it's a very like
Messina.
season by season because there was always a new case every season.
Right.
So it was like, you know, there would always be flashy guest stars. Danson's on it for 2 years at least.
Crazy.
Because that was kind of the start of like gray hair drama dancing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like where people are like, oh,
Silver Fox
Ted.
dancing. Yeah.
And he's also doing Bored to Death.
Right.
And then he did CSI, and people were like, why are you doing CSI? You're so rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've worked your whole, like, why are you? And he was just like, I always kind of wanted to be on CSI, so here I am.
My dad always throws out Ted Danson as like the go-to for someone who's really rich. Like he goes like, can you imagine how much money Ted Danson must have?
He's really
And he's
rich.
just been on TV forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He should be in broadcast news.
He should. Oh.
He's in very few movies.
I feel like if Kelsey Grammer's right there, though, if you're going to go like someone who was on Cheers who's
the
insanely
weird
rich,
thing.
like Kelsey Grammer.
Kelsey Grammer is really rich. That is true.
The two guys my dad always goes for. Can you just even imagine how much money they have? Are Ted Danson and Zach Braff.
Well, Zach Braff, it's just sort of like, it's infuriating.
Because it's like that guy?
Yeah,
that
right.
much?
And then he had a Kickstarter?
Yeah, right. The Danson thing is just like the amount of huge shows he was on, you know?
Yeah. For sure.
But Grammer, had like two crazy syndicated shows.
Ted Danson's not in this movie.
He's
I don't
not in
think.
this movie.
Feels like he should be.
He could have been Bill Hurt. A couple years later, maybe he would have gotten this.
Maybe. I mean, he's a little, I would say he's a little rough around the edges than Hurt. You know, the whole point of Hurt is when he approaches her early on, right?
Yeah.
Which we're talking, we're right there.
Yeah.
And she gives that speech that no one's paying attention to.
Yeah.
And then she shows the Domino's clip and everyone loves it, which I just love.
God.
How badly she's read The Room where she's like, they'll be like, oh my God. And instead they're like, yay.
And that like adage about like tragedy plays in close-ups, comedy plays out in wide shots. This is such a good wide shot comedy where they just hold on her between these two giant screens sandwich. You hear the audience reacting positively to Domino's, and it's just seeing her face get more and more disgruntled in the middle.
And as people who work in media, David, like you listen to her being like, we've lowered our standards.
God,
this is falling apart. You're just like,
this movie is chilling if you work in media because they're like, geez, the news is getting really bad. And then every news segment in this show is this like very serious foreign affairs piece where
or
it's
about
like
date rape.
Well, we'll get to that.
And they take the time to like
But,
cut in the Rockwell thing.
Right, it's dry. The Rockwell thing.
Yeah.
That's what the whole opening sequence at the newsroom is that they have to cut in that Rockwell transition.
Yep.
Imagine.
But like talk about a movie.
Imagine editing on fucking VHS, dude.
Well, listen, my intern at ABC Productions, we used beta tapes. Like that was the very end of
Giant
that
tapes.
era. Yeah.
Go on. Sorry.
All three of us have time and time again discussed a fondness for movies depicting people who are really good at their jobs. And especially when the job is executed with this much detail.
Oh, yeah.
And just every element of this movie, like whatever the emotional conflict, the interpersonal social conflict going on is, you're never not aware of what jobs they have and what they have to be doing in the office at that very moment. And from like the technology to just like the way they hold themselves, the way they talk about certain subjects, the fact that they like just live and breathe this shit. That section towards the end where it's Prosky talking to the people in the hallway about like, okay, here's a scenario. What would you do? It's like all they want to think about is just like, how would you manage this situation?
Yeah.
What are your ethics? Like all they care about is the fucking news. You just like, I don't know. I watch this movie and I want to cry because I want to believe that we have like journalists who care this much and that aren't totally beaten down by the system, who believe that it's possible to get this stuff out there.
Yeah.
And obviously there are, but it also feels a little dire right now. And it's also a climate where each individual news outlet holds less power than it used to because they're just so fucking mad.
Well, and that's the whole thing is like they're killing themselves to get together this segment about this returning veteran and get the Rockwell thing in there because it's going to be important and it's going to vanish and no one's ever going to watch it again.
No.
But it was such a massive thing at that point.
If they don't get it on at 8 p.m. on Tuesday,
like no one will ever see it. And
everyone's watching the news.
Yeah, and I think about how many things I've written in a week where it's just like, well, that's up and then it's gone. And like, was there a typo in it?
Right.
Please keep employing me, anybody who's employing me.
Right. It's like watching this movie where it's like the pressure to get everything so right under such a time constraint.
Yeah.
And not just in terms of reporting the story ethically, but like technically the artistry of how you compose the story, how you perform it. I mean, jumping ahead, but the fucking scene where Hurt teaches Brooks how to be on camera and you're like, yeah, this guy is a total artist at one thing, and you can't discredit
beyond that. It's like, I don't know how you feel about this, Katey. You might feel differently, but Hurt's job, Tom's job, is the job I would be the worst at in this environment.
Of the three? For sure.
Yeah, like any of them.
Yeah.
Like I could do any of the other jobs better than his is the, or at least his is the one that frightens me the most. Sure, yeah. The anchor job, it's like I would be so worried about saying everything in the right order. And then when Hurt's talking about like, really punch one word in every sentence. And, you're really selling an idea. And I'm like, I wouldn't even be able to start thinking about punching a word.
No, the incredible thing about the scene where she's talking in his ear, which I guess we'll talk about later, is the way that he doesn't just repeat back what she's saying. He like translates it and does it in real time. It's so good.
But it's amazing. But I have this whole like theory, because I've spent a lot of time thinking about this, like why so many incredibly good looking people are good actors, are good performers in this kind of way. And I don't think it's just audiences like watching people who are good looking, which they do. But I also think if you're that good looking and put together from like a baseline level, there's a certain confidence you have to not worry about certain things that frees up the mental energy to worry about things like your posture, punching one word in particular, because you just kind of go into situations going like, people like me. They're won over by me. They're compelled when I speak. Yeah. Now I can focus on like the little details. Right. And I like that they don't just make Hurt a savant. Like they don't just go like, well, he's good looking and he just innately has a quality. Like in that scene, he makes it clear how much he's thought about the artistry of some of these decisions that puts him over the edge from being like a good looking, fairly charismatic person to someone who's like an utterly captivating broadcaster.
Yeah. Beyond that, he's not full of himself. No. Like, which
he does
if he was smarmy, then that would be its own thing.
Yeah, he is really genuine.
He's genuine.
But that's the thing.
And that's what he is in that when he's a little boy and he's like, I want to work.
He puts a lot of work and energy and effort into it. The thing that he represents, though, is putting that energy into the less essential places.
Yep.
And that's the central conflict of the movie. Yep. It's like, this guy knows he doesn't deserve what he's gotten. He is working really hard for it. He's constantly trying to get better. But his mind operates on a totally different track in terms of what he values as important. He doesn't even understand the regression he represents, how dangerous letting someone like him rise to the forefront could be. For all of media.
Katey?
All I can think about is how like all the William Hurts of our president.
Yeah. But I just think he's perfect because he's not intimidatingly handsome. No. He's nice guy handsome.
He's got that weird little horseshoe scar on his cheek.
It's like he's not too smarmy. Like I said, like it's the perfect lane for that Anchorman.
It's a tricky
like
performance.
The Peter Jennings, Dan Rather, Tom Brokaw, which is like the Anchorman of that era.
Can we talk about their like date that they have in the very beginning of the
movie? Right at the beginning,
like
after she gives her speech, he comes up to her and he's like, you reached one person, me,
Yeah.
He's like sitting in the audience with a bottle blonde and can't get his eyes off of Holly Hunter. And what
every other woman in his life is a bottle blonde.
Yeah.
But talk, Katey.
Yeah, but the like they, you don't see most of the date and then get to the end of it and she's talking so fast and she's got this energy. And the way that it's blocked, that you cut to her room and they're like kneeling on the bed, which is like not anything anyone in a movie has ever done, but you can kind of imagine having
she like
done
pulls
that in your
pillow
life.
Under her chin at one point.
And it's like kind of sexy, but like not really. And then you see when she like badly misreads what's going on, but she kind of doesn't. Like it's kind of, every time I watch it, I like think of something different going on in his head. But
and it's also like, here's this guy who represents some sort of physical ideal to her, right? Like clearly she's just taken with how he looks
from
the beginning of the movie. This is like her
You don't
type.
invite an idiot or a bad looking idiot into your hotel room.
Right. And she's found a guy who looks like this, who's in the same field as her. So it takes
and who's
her a
interested
while.
in her.
Right. But it takes her a while to realize like what side of the coin he represents. But at the beginning, it's just like, oh my God, it's another guy who likes Iron Maiden. You know, like I can talk about my favorite thing with him.
Yeah.
And that hotel room stuff when she's like nuzzled up with the pillow, it's just like I get to geek out with someone about this who I'm sexually attracted to, who doesn't look like Albert Brooks.
But then she,
realizes
things take a turn.
Right. He's the enemy.
In a way, he represents something she doesn't
that she's been trying to
about her
actively
industry.
Fight against. Right.
Where he's basically describing his career track to her, where he's like, I was on sports and someone said I was going to get fired. He didn't even get fired. No. Someone just falsely said he was getting fired.
And he got so many letters.
There was such an outpouring of support that they promoted me. and then he doesn't even have a heart to tell her to say, by the way, I've been promoted again and I'm going to work for you.
Isn't it after that she asked him for a back rub and then he rebuffs her and like presumably because he's been hired and like he doesn't want to like start that. It was like the Grey's Anatomy scenario. He's avoiding the McDreamy thing.
But there's also like an incredible
there's the moment
that Holly Hunter pulls off where she goes from being like, oh come on, don't be humble, don't be modest, and the more he explains it, she starts to actually become irate.
And then he's so hurt.
Yes.
William hurt.
Yes. William and devastated.
I really love the way he's like, I couldn't stand the way you just talked to me just now. Like, and it's not because she was too mean, although she was too mean. It's because no one's ever talked to him like that before.
Yeah.
He also has that line like that it's heartbreaking to know that you're not very good at the thing you're a success at.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But she doesn't get that he is good, but in a way she doesn't like, I guess. Right. I mean, just later on, what's the line his dad has that I just burst out laughing every time?
She's not a very affectionate person.
The way she's talking to you is, or like, but I want to know the exact line.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Katie?
Yeah, no, it's something like she's not a very affectionate person. Then he comes to her, he's like, he loved you.
Yeah.
Said he admired your fire.
It's like the way she talks is not the way an affectionate person talks. It's something like that, but it's
really good.
Yeah.
So then he calls her later.
Like an hour later,
well, first she talks to Albert Brooks on the phone. They have their nightly phone call where they're catching up.
And aren't you so smitten by Albert Brooks at that point? Like all you want to do is just like have someone to call you on the phone like that.
You put it to me very well last night where we were texting about this movie and you were like, everyone wants to be loved non-threateningly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Where he's just got like this boundless affection for her, and like for the most part, he's not making it weird. We can talk about when he makes it weird.
But also, I think a masterstroke of this movie is that they make it weird. It'd be very easy to just make him ducky.
No, that's
and let him off the hook by being like cute and sad sacky.
Right. That is what makes the movie complicated to watch because there are things, especially in this time when we're recording this, where like it's nonstop talking about sexual harassment at work.
Yep.
Like there are lines crossed all over the place.
By the time this episode's come out, that's all over with. Everything's been sorted out.
We've solved everything.
And it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shrek's in jail. Everything's been solved. My running joke is now predicting that Shrek's the next one to go down.
Yeah.
Ogres are like on
But you see this depth of affection between the two of them, and you want that relationship there, and you want someone to just like you were talking about how he yells at her, but like he just pours this like caring on her, and she knows that she can lean on him at every possible moment, which is a shitty position for him to be in and codependent, but valuable.
His anger is what this movie gets really right. That it isn't afraid to make him an asshole and have him do incredibly awful things. But I feel like when I saw this movie when I was young, when I was 10 or 12 or whatever, I think what made me uncomfortable was that. Because
he's not Ben Stiller in Reality Bites where you're like, oh, this is me. I understand.
It's clear cut. The assholes
that's
are.
The nice guy and William Hurt's the villains. But William Hurt's the villain, but James L. Brooks movies don't have villains ever.
Right.
Sometimes it's a problem, such as in How Do You Know, where there's no stakes or really anything to push against. Right. Even the man who's committed fucking financial white-collar crime is like, what can I say? And you're like, he's all right. There's just no one to be mad at.
They offered me $12 million.
We're going to get to the fact that he made in 2010 a movie about white-collar criminals who are nice.
Even like at middle school, I had a whole complex about being like the ducky boy who was like in love with the best friend, who, the unrequited love, the late night phone calls, but never be the one they want to kiss.
Yep.
And so I got a lot of like real masturbatory like validation from movies where at the end the girl realizes that's who she should have been with.
Sure.
And this movie is like, no, these people are angry. And there's a weird sense of entitlement that comes to like being best friends with a girl, but also thinking she's stupid for not realizing she should be with you.
And kind of constantly telling her that. And like the level of kind of denial that she must have to like continue this friendship and rely on him and just kind of like push anything that he suggests otherwise into the back of her mind. And you see like the expression she makes later on, she just kind of like shakes it out of her brain.
Yeah, because she just understands this is something she has to tolerate about being friends with him and has to weigh against all the things he does do for her as a friend. But it's frustrating to her that that has to be part of it.
Yeah, and like she loves him, but
her.
she's just not going to she's not going to do that, and she thinks that they can keep that equilibrium even though it's killing them.
Right, but he views her not liking him as a choice. Like, why would you make this bad choice? Your judgment is better than this.
Yep.
You know I stand for what you respect. But it's like a head versus heart movie.
Yep.
Where it's like, yes, intellectually, this is the kind of person she wants to be with, except no part of her actually wants to be with him in the weird, inexplicable way that, like, relationships form and attachments grow.
My mother was a journalist.
Humble brag.
as was my father. They're both journalists. I do think when I'm watching this movie that I'm watching my mother's career. Because, like, this is how she describes it. You know, mostly boys.
Yeah.
A lot of Albert Brooks types. A lot of lines that are very hazy.
Sure.
A lot of, like, you know, they were also hard charging. There's a lot of, like, just like, let's drink all night now, you know, like.
And especially
it's like your whole life is the news.
When you have this righteous motivation of, like, we're doing something important, we're saving the world, everything, the stakes are so high.
Yeah.
You know?
Where did your mom work?
Daily News for 28 years, 1980 to longer than that. Anyway, 1980 to the 2010 teens. And she did everything. She was a business reporter. She was city hall reporter. She was a social welfare reporter, like did lots of different things. But you know, especially in the 80s in New York, mostly boys, a lot of drinking.
Yeah. A lot of Brooksy types.
And a lot of, like, you got to play with the boys, you know, like, you know what I mean? And, like, that is Hunter's character in the way where it doesn't seem like she's trying hard or anything. No. Like, she's a total idiot, totally at ease. But the relationship she has with Brooks is so unusual, would be so unusual in so many other
100%.
Workforces.
But you also, I mean, we only get this one snapshot from the beginning, but it seems like she's in a single parent household being raised only by a father.
Yeah.
You never see her mother. That's true.
That's just always the inference I've gotten by the fact that they don't show the mom. And when they cut, when they cut to the living room, it's the dad sitting there by himself, which probably sets her up to a dynamic where she feels comfortable
is
around.
Also my mother's upbringing.
Interesting.
Anyway,
we combine my mom with your mom, and we have
Holly Hunter
in broadcast news.
Broadcast news, except neither of our parents are from the South.
Yeah, we got
my mom is.
Yeah.
We combine our 3 mothers.
Is your mother from Georgia, or is she from Carolina?
She was born in Georgia, actually, but grew up in South Carolina, like me.
And then she went back to Georgia to give birth to you, and then right back to Carolina?
So I grew up right on the border. So, you know, you would go over to Augusta for the hospitals and then come back and live in, South Carolina. So it's like how Charlie was born in Manhattan and we lived in Brooklyn.
Of course he was. I believe he was born where I was born.
You got to cross a river to be born.
Yeah.
The Bible, probably.
All right,
so after that we get the Bobby scene, right?
Yes.
It's so good.
Christian Clemenson.
I don't know how she does that on just a technical level.
She's amazing. Well, her voice, everything about her voice.
Yeah,
Christian Clemenson is Bobby. Just shout out Christian Clemenson.
Strong, young Philip Seymour Hoffman look, I assume.
For sure, 100%.
Saw that.
They're trying to finish up this story, get it ready, and she suddenly has this moment where she thinks of the perfect Norman Rockwell painting to put in.
That's in a book in her office. You can't Google that shit. You can't pull up that PDF.
They have 15 minutes until the segment's going to air.
Yeah.
She calls, get that book, film it. Albert Brooks with a stopwatch, adding in the one line of narration. Joan Cusack, in a moment that should break this movie. I mean, this moment gets so much more slapsticky than the rest of the film, and it's right on that edge of, like...
She leaps over a dazzled child.
Right, and the sliding under the, like, filing cabinet. Because I remember that was the clip they played on the AFI special, and then when I put in the tape and the movie started out so sad, I was like, did I accidentally rent the wrong...
Right.
Was that
Is this
working,
terms
girl?
of endearment?
Right.
Yeah.
That's definitely, like, the most comedic that movie gets.
Yes.
Pretty much. Yeah, this is a funny movie that is not a very heightened comedy.
No.
But it is a funny movie.
Oh, yeah.
But it's more behavioral.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the kind of movie they don't make anymore.
Right. They don't make them like this.
They certainly don't make them 135 minutes long. Oh, yeah, they do. Who does that?
Albert Brooks.
Judd Apatow.
Oh, yes. Okay.
You know, and like that's where people are always like, I can't believe Judd Apatow's so indulgent where his movies are so long. And I'm like, do you know who his hero is or not? Like, come on.
100%.
Yeah.
And even the TV to film progression.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's all the same fucking. Anyway.
I just watched The Big Sick, also with Holly Hunter. Also, it's not 135 minutes long.
No,
it's
I think
long.
that one's
Solid
2 hours.
2 on the nugget.
Yeah.
But
I like how long that movie is.
That's a very Brooksy movie as well, in terms of all the different stuff it covers and how complicated every character
is. And like
is.
that's where Apatow is saying the Brooksy thing, which is like, don't shortcut anything. Like every part of this needs to be long. It's fine. It can be a little longer. Like their relationship needs to go on for a while.
And the 90-minute version of that movie would lose entire
some people disagree.
Shades, you know?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if Katey agrees.
Of this
We
movie?
thought about it. No,
of The Big Sick. Yeah. I think The Big Sick
both.
could be shorter. I think every single scene in broadcast news is
Perfect.
Yeah.
But they're long. They're long scenes.
They're long scenes.
It's also a big 2-shot movie. Like it's a lot of 2 shots where you're just letting actors play it out. There's a moment, it's here when they're watching, when William Hurt is sort of shadowing in the office, the control booth watching her. And it's this sort of shot with her at the control panel, the guy, the sort of Poindexter-y guy at the controls, and the big Hurt between the two of them while she's making the calls. And Hurt is sort of just like bumping the back of his head against the wall, like a little boy in a classroom who's just like kind of bored.
Yeah.
And he just like lets these scenes play out with like a bunch of really good actors doing a lot of really telling physical behavioral stuff, even when they're not talking.
Yeah.
You know, or when they're talking about their work, doing physical things that show what they're thinking. Nothing in this movie is rushed. Like he's really taking his time.
I'm going to rush us a little bit because we've been talking for an incredibly long time already. And I feel like we've done 5 minutes of this movie.
Great.
So what's next?
To get the story on, kills it.
Wait, who? What?
She gets the story.
she gets the story
Rockwell
on,
kills it. They're
And
obsessed with
then-
Nicholson's reaction.
Yeah, Nicholson and
He
then
gets a little smile.
and then he says he can't talk to Albert, or like she lies to cover for Albert Brooks and says that he can't talk to him, and then you see Nicholson just kind of twiddling his thumbs on the live feed, which is heartbreaking. And
he only wants to talk to Holly Hunter.
Isn't that the second one? Isn't that after they do the...
That might be the
after
second
Central,
one.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Central America. They go there.
So they go to Central America after this part.
Yeah,
and
that's right after. Right. The next thing is Central America.
Crazy to me that they just go to like in bed with the Sandinistas in Central America.
But they send Albert Brooks to Central America.
and you see, and there's like gunfire and explosions, and you see how fussy she is.
About the shoes?
About the shoes, where it looks like they're kind of setting up a shot where like, let's get a shot of them tying their shoes. And she's like, no. If you want to tie your shoes, that's fine.
Sir,
but
you do
your
whatever
decision.
you want to do.
Your decision.
But that moment when he goes, did you get the shot of the boots? You know, because he knows he put
they're
that
already,
line into
They're already cutting it together while it's happening around them.
And they have these moments where their faces get really close to each other. In any other movie, it looked like they're about to kiss. But it's just they're getting so sexually charged off of doing their job well.
Yep.
Right, and then the same thing happens when she's back, where when she's feeding the lines into Hert's ears with the same sort of like sexual foreplay kind of thing.
But that's when they put that story on the air. Nicholson flips out, calls her, says, "Well, really, you got to give Aaron the credit." And he goes, "Well, I can't." Whatever he says. Hangs up. They watch him twiddle his thumbs, and then one of my favorite heartbreaking moments in the movie where he leans in and says, "The second I leave."
Yeah, like act like I'm not shattered into a million pieces.
Yeah, laugh
I
really
just said
hard,
something
incredibly
incredible.
clever. Yeah. And then she does such a good performance laughing too hard to Joan Cusack and says, "I'll never tell you what he said."
Yeah.
I'll never tell.
See, don't you want that friendship? You want someone who's going to cover for you like that and maybe just not be...
I've had that friendship a number of times. I don't have to play any fantasy with this movie. This movie plays to me like my high school years.
Yeah, no, see, I definitely thought about like doing like high school theater and like having this like
100%.
intense production relationship where you're all trying to accomplish something and like no one's really talking about their feelings in the proper way and everyone's kind of filtering it in weird ways.
That's what my high school was. My plays and short films and collaborative fucking presentations for science class. Okay, humble brag.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? You could have had someone cover for you with a big laugh when you're moment where you're emotionally devastated.
Yeah, it's 2017, David.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
actually 2018 by this point.
Actually, the theater was with the girls' school. So, you know, that was one way to meet the girls.
Yeah, making out behind the scenes.
I did have this feeling.
It was happening.
If this movie takes place 50 years later, I think I Albert Brooks' character would have become an alt-right Gamergate kid before he got into journalistic ethics.
Oh my God.
He had that outlet.
I hate the world, and let's not talk about it.
I do too.
I want to point out there was
world.
also some boy-on-boy making out in my boys' school theater scene.
Yeah, we're not
Okay,
trying. No erasure happening here.
I just actually I feel rude for. I don't want to erase the totally true boy-on-boy making out.
Yeah.
They turned the theater in my school into an obstacle course. So is
that for the out of the furnace boys, so they could learn how to be under siege by the government? Yeah,
we didn't even have it. It's just like
learn how to have a Waco siege.
Climbing on ropes and stuff.
It was an obstacle course with cardboard cutouts of cops in there that you had to dodge around.
They're training you for the Hunger Games. That's what happens.
Yeah, it is the Hunger Games over there already. I think it's already happening.
Did you attend Battle Royale, Ben?
So usually I have the plot in front of me so we can easily run through it, but the plot summary for
Really
Broadcast
bad.
News is really small because it's not plotty per se.
all.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of things happening, but
Well, okay, so you get the Central America thing, then they all having that brunch at the network president's house.
Right.
That's right.
So
Where
that's
the what is it? Lois Childs, I think Jennifer.
Yeah.
The is she the other anchor? Or no, she's a correspondent.
She's a
not
correspondent.
on
She's the one
camera.
who's standing outside the White House.
Right, and she's the one who's asking Holly Hunter, do you have something with
And Hertz
Tom?
already
'Cause I
done an
wanna-
on-air piece at this point because he's starting to look like the golden boy, right?
Right. But I'm interested in Tom, and she's like, I don't know. And she's like, we don't have, go on.
And
Sorry.
then she's like, wait, I do mind, which is she's so shitty. Come on, man. You got to make up your mind.
Yeah.
No, but then she stops her going out
Yes,
and is like, actually, I don't mind. Do
Yeah.
whatever you want.
Because
and I
Hertz
like
says that
the line.
shitty thing to her, right?
Yes.
He says something shitty to her.
What does he say to her?
I forget. He says something crappy to her that then she goes, excuse me, I'll be back in 1 second.
Yeah.
Goes back to Jennifer, tells her.
I think it's him still having a problem with her attitude and the way she talks to him. He
talks about how, I remember what it is. He talks about how much better she looks at the party. And he goes, usually at the office you have that film over you.
Oh, God, yeah.
And so that's where she stops Jennifer leaving the party. He's like, do whatever you want. Jennifer's like, well, I'm not going to do anything right now.
Right.
Which I think is funny.
And then right then, they find out the Libyan plane has
Yeah, that's the Gaddafi story starts up.
Yeah,
right.
so then it's everyone doing their jobs. You see everyone springing into action. It's like a Saturday afternoon. They're all in nice party clothes, and they're like, now we got to go to work.
And it's Nicholson's on vacation, right? So they have to cover it.
And it's the great sex scene. That's that's where she's feeding him the lines.
So they asked her to do it, and
Yeah.
they don't want Brooks to be part of it at all.
Yeah.
And Brooks is phoning in from his apartment.
But first, she takes the boss out, this guy who's got this great character actor face.
Yeah.
Yes.
And says, you're making a big mistake here. You have to put Aaron on it. And that's when he says it must be great. Right.
Yeah.
No, it's miserable. Aaron sort of takes the bullet, goes home, starts listening to French music.
Listening to French music, making himself a very strange looking drink
Orange
with an orange
concentrate
peel.
and vodka.
Orange concentrate and making a
And he's
screwdriver.
singing the song.
And he scoops it out with his finger out of the can.
Revolting.
It
is really funny.
So revolting. I realized I watched the whole credits. They play him singing over that song over the end of the credits, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But they set up the whole thing before he gets to the whole her and his ear thing. They are building and building this entire thing. So you get his excitement over it because you're watching the process.
Yes, and this is the sequence where you get those great sort of composite split diameter shots.
So many split
where it's
shots.
through the window,
Yes.
fully in focus, super crisp, but also
Ben
the
loves
side
it.
of Hunter's face watching it.
Ben's like, molto bene.
So good. And then just the voice in a voice in a voice of Brooks calling her relaying to her.
I say it
Hurt
here, it comes
paraphrasing.
out there.
It's incredible.
They're a good team.
Yeah.
They are a good
And
team.
it is a weirdly erotic scene just because of how good everyone is
Yeah,
at
and
what
she's
they're doing.
whispering in his ear. It's an intense relationship.
Right. And then afterwards he has that moment where he pulls her closer.
Which is
to
yet
him.
another HR violation.
100%.
Yeah, there's a few HR violations in this movie.
100%. But at this point, they're a team, and Hertz kind of nailed it. His first major at bat, it's a home run.
Yep.
He just terms of endearment the shit, you know?
So then from there, it's the correspondence center? No. They all go out after. She goes over to Aaron's house.
She goes to Aaron's house because and also this is a movie where you really feel the lack of cell phones because she.
Oh my
if
God.
she wants to
Go
hang out
to
with
his-
him, she's got to go to his fucking house.
And he lives far away, clearly, because she
Yeah.
always arrives 2 hours later than she's supposed to.
This is one of two movies he made set in DC too. This is a real DC movie with all those nice.
Aaron's house is
Georgetown
way too nice, but I guess in
townhouses.
the late 80s, DC wasn't
DC
that
is
nice.
like a pit. I
Yeah.
mean, not
But not only is it like,
but DC is this,
not only is it like, oh, if I want to catch up with him, I have to go to his house. It feels like they have sort of like a standing obligation where it's like, well, every night I'll come over to your place,
and
so
we
can
won't have sex with each other.
Right. And now it's your turn. We'll
just confess all our darkest thoughts to each other and not have sex. And then you'll leave.
And that's the scene where he kisses her, which is not just HR violation. It's just like it's a shitty thing to do. And then he has the line, well, I felt something, which is funny. That's the problem with this guy. And she laughs, and it's so complicated the way that relationship works.
Which I think is great.
It's great.
I mean, wouldn't it be great if needy was sexy?
Your Brooks is good.
I'm doing old Brooks. I can't do
You're
young
doing
Brooks.
old Brooks.
I'm doing dry
your
Brooks.
teeth, right?
Yeah.
And you just sort of
Nemo.
Yeah,
you think you can do these things, and you can't, Nemo.
I've been trying, but then I pitch it up and it becomes Grover.
How much do you think? Go on, please.
Wouldn't it be great?
Yeah, see, I go too high and it becomes a Muppet.
No, you're pretty good. It's just he does have such an iconic voice.
Yeah.
Nemo.
One of the great voices. How much do you think he makes from those fucking movies?
Oh,
a lot.
God.
Just like...
And you know the story that they recorded the whole thing with William H. Macy, and they were like, this guy's unbearable. Like, his neuroses is, like, insufferable.
He's pretty annoying as Albert Brooks. I mean...
And Andrew Stanton watched broadcast news, and he was like, this is the level of somehow you're still on this guy's side. You need a comedian who knows how to do it.
So funny.
They re-recorded it, like, pretty late. Yeah. They did, like, test screenings where it was William H. Macy.
Oh, yeah.
Marlon's tough.
But you also get where he's coming from, which is like the same thing in this movie where the guy drives you mad and you don't totally love him, but you understand what's motivating him at every moment.
Right. But at the same time, what I like is that the movie is not on his side. This is not a movie about...
Finding Nemo isn't on Marlon's side either.
Sure, I wasn't making that, but this is not the movie about the guy who got screwed over by the privilege of the goyish, preppy, handsome man. No one's. I mean, it's her movie.
Here's like the accidental secret to why I think this movie is a total masterpiece.
Like, it's weird that Hurt is lead and Brooks is supporting at the Oscars. They're the same.
They're the same.
They should be one or the other.
I think it was just that Hurt was more of a leading man.
Of course,
he was a bigger star.
Of course, that's the decision they make. Brooks is the comedian. He's supporting.
Yeah,
but they're both. It's Holly Hunter, and then the two of them are sort of the. Yeah.
The thing I think makes this movie an accidental masterpiece. He'd been doing research for years. He'd been working on the script for years. They finally got the movie ready, but he still hadn't come up with an ending because he couldn't decide which one she ended up with.
He didn't come up with the ending until like during the movie, right?
He went into it saying, we'll start filming and I'll look at the chemistry and I'll decide which one she ends up with.
That's an insane thing to do. No one should do that.
Right.
Well, I think James L. Brooks is weird because he took him 4 years to shoot Terms of Endearment.
Yes.
And I think that's why How Do You Know cost $1 billion.
That's right. It's just because of time.
He gets to do what he wants and he's very slow.
He's very slow. But this movie doesn't pick sides because he wasn't trying to set it up for any ending. And then he shot an ending that ended with Hurt, which I'll get to when we get to the end of the movie, that didn't work. So then he added that like epilogue scene where it was just like, these are three people. There's no combination of them that makes sense.
Here's my take.
Yeah.
We don't need the ending.
I used to hate the ending.
I don't hate the ending. I think the ending's cute. I just don't think we need it.
I like
we'll
it a lot.
We'll talk about
now.
that later.
We'll talk about it later.
I don't.
We probably should start talking about
we'll
it.
Talk about it in 5 minutes.
Relatively soon.
We're going to talk about
Correspondence Dinner. I mean, we're pretty much up to the Correspondence
Dinner.
Well, which is an hour.
Yeah.
Like it's most of the movie.
Yeah, because then they don't go to the dinner, which is I always forget that. Like,
they go through the metal detector.
No, they don't because she's got condoms in her purse.
He's gone through. Yes. No, neither of them. She's got the condoms in her purse. She doesn't want that to be revealed.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't have to be. But
it's a little sitcom-y.
It is because it's like you don't have to dump your whole bag. You just take out the metal.
Well, because it's also the gag beforehand because he's at her house and she's like, it is a professional conclave with colleagues. And then she drops the condoms into her purse.
Conclave is a great...
Conclave.
But to be fair, right after the metal detector, there's a latex detector. So she's probably going to get busted.
I consider this a professional conclave.
Ben gave me
I feel extremely professional at this moment.
But the simultaneous thing being set up here is that big budget cuts at the network, which are going to trickle down to their department. And everyone's sort of been warned, and Robert Prosky takes Albert Brooks out, and he's just like, look, I'm not saying you're going to get fired. Not saying you're fired,
but
you're exactly the kind of guy who's too good to stay on.
And she's also, but I mean, let's remember, she's also in that budget cuts meeting where she kind of zones out, and then they're like, who should we send to Anchorage? And she's like, Jennifer.
Yeah.
We should send Jennifer. So she's...
Yeah, she's
that shot just of her on the TV in the fucking snow.
Yes.
But no, the other thing we have to mention before we talk about the party is the date rape
because they filmed that before.
Because that's the other thing where Hurt's like, I want to do a piece.
I need to learn sooner or later how to make my own piece from beginning to end.
And we don't see him making it. We just see this piece. This
and
like
he tells
very
her what
moving.
he wants to do. You know, sexual assault from people you know. It's the unreported story.
Where it's like, hey, 1987, like rape? I know what you're thinking. You're in a barn and a violent. Yeah, exactly. Right. No, your friend could rape you. Right. Like this is still breaking news in 1987.
Yeah.
And it's this like moving human interest story, like classic, you know, something that the news.
And Albert Brooks thinks it's ridiculous.
Albert Brooks is a dick about
it.
He's
a total
and the
dick
women in
about
the
it.
office are mad at him.
His expose on Nookie, isn't that his line?
That's his worst line, I think.
Yeah,
until he gets to the end and starts getting really mean.
That line is more tasteless today than it was at the time.
Yes.
But even then, what works about the line is that he's so callous.
Yeah,
and then the women all are
the women totally get it. That's the thing.
And that moment where Joan Cusack goes, my cousin.
Yeah.
And it's like they're all relating to the story being like, finally, someone's
and they're like frozen in the office.
Yes.
And then there's the cut to William Hurt crying, which I burst out laughing at every time because it is so like, it's so, I mean, Anderson Cooper is a bad example because I have no beef with Anderson Cooper. It is the Anderson Cooper thing.
Would do, I know.
Like, Anderson, I don't care about how you feel about this.
This isn't about you.
Yeah. And 3 people bristle at it. Prosky.
Yes.
Who already is bristled at when they need to stall for time, and he goes, I think everything will be fine. And he goes, no one cares what you think. Like, Prosky sees the beginning of the lowering of standards by this guy making it a cult of personality. Brooks is already against him.
And then
but
Hunter
you see
doesn't
Hunter
love that.
sort of like flitter for a second and go like, ugh.
Yeah, well, and then she talks to him where she's like, well, you know what? It's not what I would have done.
I found it very moving.
Me.
It worked for me. I wouldn't have put that in there, but I guess that's...
I'm too conservative about that.
Right.
Like she's admitting like not fault exactly, but like, you know what? I'm not the boss of everything.
Right. And fucking Nicholson clearly loves the piece, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, where he's like,
yeah.
Anyway.
For the listener at home, David just made a face silently.
It's good.
This might be going back a bit. I can't remember the part of it when the 2 guys with the keyboard show up with the theme song, which is
Mark Shaman.
Mark Shaman. I just put up his Wikipedia page so I could just like list his
credits. What's the line the guy has where he's like, guys, I'm spellbound, but it's not that. It's so funny.
Yeah. And then they go, big finish.
It's
the one guy looks like Nick Kroll.
Yeah, yes. I think is that one Mark Shaman?
I think that's Mark Shaman. He has a Nick Kroll.
That scene is the only throwaway in the entire movie, but I love every bit of it.
So funny. Yeah, but then the correspondence dinner is where she's like, you know what? I'm going to sleep with William Hurt.
Yeah,
I'm my own woman.
They make out by the Lincoln Memorial. What could be more romantic than that?
And they have that crazy conversation at the Lincoln Memorial too, where she's like, what is it about you? You know, like where,
and he's just like grabbing her arm.
Right. And then she's like walks off. She's like, I'm going to go see Aaron. He's like, you can't just leave me after saying all those things like that.
It's a bad decision.
We're missing a couple big things. Because simultaneous with this, Aaron's getting his shot to be a weekend anchor. He says to Prosky, you got to give me one shot. And Prosky goes, perfect. Everyone else is going to the correspondence
Exactly.
dinner.
You're going to get fired anyway.
Right,
just do it. I love that he writes his own copy, and the guy is like, really beautiful work. Pleasure to read this.
My nice little copy.
Which is a disaster to hear, I feel like. I mean, Brooks doesn't get that, but it's like, that's already, it's too flowery. No. Right. And then when he's talking...
And Hurt had to give him all this advice, which he hates. And he hates even more when he realizes the advice is pretty sound.
Yeah.
No, the scene between them, it feels like the opposite of the Bechdel moment. Because like seeing the 2 of them in a scene together, you're like, oh, hey, guys.
Yeah. And he's like, no, really sit on it. And he's like, guys
look great.
Oh, yeah. And Jane gives him her shoulder pads before he goes, and then gives him a nice line.
But Prosky says to him that thing where it's like, when he says you could do Saturday, he's like, you better start working on it now. And he's like, what, are the stories already ready? And he like tries to find a way to say to him, like, you got to be a little more charismatic. Like, you got to work on the razzle dazzle. Yeah. A little more Hugh Jackman, please.
Yeah, exactly.
So then he coaches her. She goes to check in on him right before and reveals, he reads all over her that she's now in love with Tom. Yeah. And flips out on her.
No, that's after. That
happens before and after.
But he doesn't flip out on her.
No, he doesn't flip out till after. When he flips out on her is in his house after. When he's in a good mood.
Right. When she's going to go back to see him.
His meltdown scene, I watch it on YouTube all the time. I mean, it's the set piece of the movie.
Oh, the literal meltdown. Yes.
It's so fucking funny.
It is really funny.
The towel is what always gets me, where she's like, do you have a bigger one?
The part that gets me is when they hit the sign.
Yes. The sign is so good. Your hand.
It's like suddenly like a Marx Brothers scene in the middle of this movie.
But it's never too much. Like it's like the kind of thing where you almost might not notice it, you know, what I mean? Even though it's so bad. Like,
he's really subtle in how he sets all of that up visually. And also
I'm just crying thinking about it, like when he opens his jacket up.
But like cutting between, he's got like the 3 major shots he's using, which are like the wide long shot where the sweat's less visible, right? There's the close up where you see everything, and then there's the on the TV screen where it's standard def and it's not even that big.
Yeah.
So when it gets to the point where you see the color is a different color on the TV, you're like, oh fuck, it's bad. Like if it's showing up there that visibly.
Oh my god.
My dad really wanted to be a
about
sportscaster, and fought really hard to get his one shot, and then always referred to it as like Albert Brooks broadcasting this moment where he realized like I can't do this.
Oh man.
But Brooks just sort of like flips the other way and is like, it was so horrific, it's almost incredible.
No,
like how badly I
and
whiffed
that's what
it.
I love how he's just happy when he's at home, where he's like, you know what? I mean, like clearly I can't.
It was
do
a
this.
disaster.
Yeah,
like
Nemo.
They thought he was having a heart attack.
There were nice phone calls. They were worried about him.
Yeah. What's the good news? I lost 6 pounds.
Every line he has, in like when
so
she writes,
funny.
it's so
He's
funny.
just taking
Such a
3-point
good
shots
move,
and
and
seizing them.
he's in such a good mood. So I think that's partly why she's like, you know what? I think I might be in love with Tom. And he just turns on a dime and screams at her.
And this is her single best line reading the entire movie. Is she's trying to say it in a light, casual way.
Yeah, you know, that guy.
And by the
what's
end,
his name?
By the end of I think I might be in love with him, she's choking back tears. Like over the course of one line, she goes from like the cute like
he has
pretty
a bottle
woman
of
moment.
Stoli and a bottle of Absolute. I've never figured out why.
Oh,
anyway, sorry.
Maybe they got paid.
And I knew it. I knew this was going to happen. He's everything you've tried to stand against your entire
That
life.
scene is hard to watch. It's really good.
And he gives the devil speech, you know?
Yeah.
He's a nice guy, but I truly think he's the devil. And I always fucking think about that when I think about evil in the world, that the most insipid kind of evil is just the lowering of standards more than the people who go out there and like fucking wave the flag for hatred.
I mean, this is the thing that's driving us crazy now, is all the things that we are used to now that we were not used to a year ago, and God knows what will be happening by the time anybody hears this.
Right. But yeah, it's like they both are so furious at each other, but also can't continue hating each other. They represent too much to each other, and they know what's driving each of them to behave in this way.
Mm-hmm.
So they keep on like, it's such an uncomfortable scene, but the balance between like when he's yelling, when he's pathetic, when she's crying, when she's laughing at him, when she's laughing with him.
And I think you're right that you see them in the same frame together for so much of it. Like I think of like him standing in the foreground and she's sitting on those stairs in his house, and that's that's when he gives the devil speech. And then she walks away and he drops that he's in love with her. Like it's so well choreographed.
Like you said about the blocking, like you're right. All those scenes are very, very.
Yeah, because they're just using the space that they have been in before, and they like know where to go in it.
And
his house is so big.
Yes, I know.
Like Brooks
but he only has a love seat.
So big.
Yeah, it's true.
Brooks goes from like sitcom TV where it's like very didactic, close up, you know, kind of like perfunctory blocking, to like really understanding how to like play comedic moments with pathos visually on film. And then he goes all the way back around to like movies where it's just like dumb close-ups again. Yeah. But this, it's like there's so much you get from just watching how they listen to each other while they're talking, what they're doing with their bodies, where they are in relation to each other. It's like masterful fucking shit. It's like Preston Sturges level shit, that scene especially.
Yeah. Where does that scene end? I'm trying to remember. Like,
well, he's basically like, he kind of calms down and he's like, go, fine, it's fine. You know, he relaxes. Then she goes and Tom's already kind of lost interest.
Yeah.
And like whatever, like, you know, sparky moment they had is kind of forgotten already. Mm-hmm. And that's when the layoffs come.
Yeah, then Jack Nicholson comes to the office and they start with the layoffs.
Makes a tasteless joke about cutting $1 million from his salary.
Is so Jack Nicholson plays that so perfectly. So well. That's another thing that is in our industry today for sure.
Yeah.
There's another one after Paul, the network boss, he like fires one of the people and says, "Well, if there's anything else I can do for you," and the guy says, "Well, I certainly hope you'll die soon."
Yeah, right. But it starts with that like super graceful like, "Well, I'm just old enough to be complimented by early retirement," and then it goes to like, "I hope you die soon."
And that's this, you know, Tom hasn't changed at all. Where he's like, getting rid of me. Yeah, they're moving me. Yeah. Like he really thinks London. It's bad. And they're like, to London. And he's like, that's good. You're on like the career track.
Yeah.
And he's like, I guess so. You know, he doesn't get
fury
it.
Where he's like, you idiot. They're like, what? They're grooming you. You're gonna be the guy, and you don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Brooks quits.
That line Brooks has is like, there's no system that it doesn't want one of us. You know. That's also where there's your favorite line, aside from socially. You're my role model.
Yeah, Joan Cusack, she just slays every single
She's really
she has
funny.
like 4 lines.
I also love that like Joan Cusack is probably a woman of average height, but Holly Hunter
she looks
is
like a
so
giant.
elfin that she looks like a giraffe. And then she's also got like 6 inches of hair.
Yeah, no, she has like Marge Simpson hair.
Because she's close. She's 5'9", pretty tall for a lady. She's because Working Girl is like right around now, maybe the next year. So her hair is like
again bigger,
colossal.
Beautiful thing.
But what does Aaron figure out as he's leaving?
Oh, yeah.
With Tom faking crying.
You had one camera on that shoot.
Yeah. Do you feel like I'm trying to think if the first time I saw it, I would have put it together. I don't think I ever would have.
No, I no.
I don't think I understood the language of what they were like.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't really get like
what
do you mean you have to move the camera? Move the camera. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, why would that be complicated?
Right.
Yeah.
But then Aaron has this awful lunch scene. Oh, and Robert Prosky gets fired and they offer Holly Hunter the job. And Prosky has this great scene where he says to her, like, look, I was on the way out. They were going to fire me. I'll be angry if it isn't you.
Mm-hmm.
It'll take some of the sting out of it knowing it's someone as talented.
No, but the Brooks lunch is where you turn on him.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, but first you see her walking around the room talking to everybody and like seeing what a pro she is. Like
Yeah.
I love that little bit of her dealing with it. And then William Hurt asks her on the trip before that lunch. So
she has 14 weeks of vacation.
And his
Great
idea
line.
seems so good. Just go somewhere warm and get the hell out of there. Like, I'll do that
But
tomorrow.
it's a real
Let's
William
go.
Hurt thing, or a real Tom thing,
But
where
there's
it's like,
even-
it's fine.
There's
Yeah.
a logic
cares?
to like, you don't want to just come back into the office tomorrow and have a new job. Like you need a little bit of a reset here.
Yep.
And everyone's coming up to her and going like, look, I've always wanted to tell you this. Like all the people on the way out, she's got some shifts she's going to have to go through to get this new position totally like wrapped around in her mind. So she goes to lunch with Brooks to tell him, I guess, that she's going on the vacation.
And
with
to
Tom.
meet there, he says, one of my other friends, let's go to the place near the thing where we went that time.
Yeah. I'll see you there, and then cut to them there.
Oh.
And they go into these really like loving romantic comedy, like movie star close-ups when he's going like, I just think about being there with my son and my wife. And she's like smiling. She's like, ooh, son. And you just think it's teeing up to like some sentimental, like, well, it's been great being friends with you.
Yeah.
And then he just throws in like the worst fucking petty jab about like, it's not nice to make fun of fat single ladies.
Yeah.
It sucks so much.
Yeah.
Sucks. And her fucking Holly Hunter just in a millisecond shifts her entire face.
Yep.
To like, I can't believe you would do that to me.
Yeah.
He immediately realizes what he's done. Tries to apologize, but I mean, it's like there's no going back from this point.
And he has this sort of narrative he sort of lays out to her. It's like, it's fine. We're going to be friends. And we're
we'll
gonna
see each other every 10 years.
And it'll be a spark and we'll never act on
Yeah.
it. Which it's like, she's not viewing that as a spark that they're not acting on.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but that's what he thinks. He thinks she's strategically choosing to not sleep with him all these times.
Yeah.
Rather than just someone who's not interested in him in that way.
Also, like, I don't think Holly Hunter could be fat. It just doesn't really seem possible.
It's physically impossible.
Like, her body just doesn't have the space to get enough food in it to get fat.
It's one of the great things about her playing Zoe Kazan's mom in The Big Sick is that those these like tiny people.
Yes, it's just
my mom, like all 3 pregnancies, gained no additional weight.
Yeah, God, I'm
You know,
sure
she was just,
everyone.
like,
I'm sure all her friends
hated
adored her.
Yeah, but she was just like a matchstick lady with like this tumor belly.
But it's a perfect example of what that guy is, in my opinion.
100%.
And like, we've all been that guy, maybe not exactly, but we, like where it's like, you're not that smart and funny.
Yeah.
Your jokes
Get
aren't
over
all
yourself.
going to be Albert Brooks level jokes. Sometimes you're going to say something where it's like, apart from you, Benny, of
Ben's the
course,
one.
you're different.
But also the like, stop acting like the world owes you everything, like it's all stacked against you, which gets to like him feeling like when he tells the bullies at the beginning of the movie, like these wounds, I'm going to leave you with a wound that's really going to stick.
Yeah, where he really thinks that is what matters.
The world
They're
is
like,
going to course
19,000,
correct.
not bad.
Like you're high status right now, but I ultimately have to succeed and get everything I want because I know I'm smarter. I graduated when I was 15.
But he does leave her with the other thing, his piece of evidence about Tom,
And which
as
the
well,
way he
where he's
presents
like,
it-
I don't think it's shitty that I'm doing this.
Well, he says like I feel like I was right to tell you, and I don't feel like I turn on him. Like
He
I feel
says,
like
no,
I kind of
I'm
get back to him.
almost certain, I think.
Yeah,
yeah,
like
and with that, you're like, I mean,
that you see his doubt, that you know he's not just trying to be vindictive and ruin her relationship, but like he gets that it's important to her.
He gets that matters way more than almost anything else to her,
including
Like,
him saying that dumb thing insulting her.
Exactly,
Like that's gone.
But that's why Brooks not deciding which guy she was going to end up with, even into filming the movie, works to its benefit because both of them are the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Like he has them do the wrong things in the right way and the right things in the wrong way.
Yep.
So there's no sort of favoritism or preference.
For sure.
And then she goes back and watches the tape and immediately.
And I love how it's not that bad. He's just, it's it's exactly what he would
and
do.
She's
He's
charmed.
like, oh yeah, I was moved.
She's smiling for most
when
of
he
it.
goes like, well, I just need a shot of me nodding like a dope.
Yeah,
you know?
right. And they're like, wish you could have gotten. Oh, I can do that. Like it's not. He doesn't get how like.
No, it's not vindictive. It's not mean. It's not like trying to lie.
The audio in the video you hear off camera of the interview subject going, "Wow, that's amazing."
Yeah,
and he's
right.
able to conjure up.
and
the
he feels
tear.
like he did something right.
Yeah. Oh, he's such a good boy with his
know.
Baltimore Orioles trucker cap. He doesn't know.
He's such a good
and
boy.
the bikini around his neck.
So off he goes, and I think it's good. Yeah, the bikini around his neck.
Yeah.
All right. I love the cab scene.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
so
the
much.
runner of the way that she can't stop giving instructions to
Right.
cab drivers, which
Where she's like-
we've all lived in New York. We know that that is what you do.
Where you're immediately like, no, don't get on the FDR. Like where she's like, you know what, I'm not going to do it. Go any way you want. Beat. But so she's changed, but she hasn't changed.
So do
right?
you know what he wanted his ending to be?
Go on.
A Man and a Woman, the French film.
Uh-huh.
At the end when they're reunited on the train.
I've not seen this movie.
I haven't either. But there's an end scene where they're reunited on a train.
Okay.
And it wasn't in the script, and he didn't tell the actors what was going to happen. So we had them both come to set.
Okay.
And they didn't realize they were going to see each other. And it's a reunion scene in which the emotion is real. And it's playing out in real time while he's filming just that one take. And Brooks was like obsessed with that idea. And so he was like, whichever guy I decide she's going to end up with, I'm going to design
I'll try
a scene
to do
like that.
Yeah.
Right,
So he had her leave the airport. She gets into the cab, and then William Hurt follows her into the cab. And he wasn't in the call sheet that day.
Right.
So she thought he wasn't going to be there. And someone on set ruined it for her.
Whoa.
So by the time he jumped in the cab, she knew, and they tried to improvise this thing, but it didn't have that energy. And the scene's bad, and you also don't want to see her end up with him at that point.
No.
But that ending is on the Blu-ray, the Criterion.
I have the Criterion. I'll
Yeah, I
watch
do
it.
too.
It's terrible. It's a really odd
Sure.
acting exercise like scene.
Wow.
And then he was like, fuck, what's my ending now? And so he came up with this epilogue
So
coda.
I don't think he really needs an ending. The thing I like about the ending is William Hurt's wife, because that just makes me laugh so
it's
much.
so
The reveal
perfect.
of her is so good.
Yeah, and in the part where he's like, "It's okay if I just go," and she's like,
Yeah.
like she understands that this is what her life is,
Right.
And I love Aaron's kid, like
Clifford
that. Yeah,
is great.
Clifford is a great
He's
kid.
adorable.
And there's just something nice about it where it kind of is what he said. It's like we'll see each other and we'll have a
Right.
relationship.
Yeah.
Because I think if
I
you
also-
end with her in the cab, it's like it's got the bitterness tone to it, and there's
Yeah,
something
agreed.
like sentimental but not unrealistic about like just seeing each other again.
And
'Cause that's,
she's
like,
gonna be William Hurt's boss,
Right.
you know. It's not,
Yeah.
what I really like is that it's not like she's just married to her career. She's got a guy.
Yeah.
He likes boats. Who knows? Maybe she'll end up
I
with
also,
him.
what I like about the ending is it represents this triangle of like this was a fulcrum point in their lives for all three of them in terms of where they stood in relation to this industry and themselves and relationships
Yeah.
and all this sort of stuff. And whether or not they're constant communication, like they are always going to have that power over each other in all three directions.
yeah,
I think
that
it's a nice understated like.
yeah, and like just
I
thinking
think
that
it's fine.
Like, it just makes me think of like people who you've known in an intense part of your life, and then you
Yes.
see them 5
Yes.
years later, and you're just
Yes.
like, huh, okay. And you have that affection, even if
Yes.
like at the time you like loathe them
Right.
or like
Or
were in love
love
with them or
them.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just so with her in the cab, and I
Yeah.
love the little shift of her. Like she's not going to give the instruction. Yes, she is.
Yeah.
But I get what you guys are saying. The ending, it's just sort of like the energy is, sort of leaving you a little bit at that
Yeah.
point, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, and it's a damper ending, literally, because it's raining.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fine though. I don't like hate the ending.
There's
I'm
that
just sort of
line
like,
where they're walking towards him. She goes like, all the men of my life
yeah, right.
reunited
Yeah.
once again. Yeah.
She's most interested in Clifford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
Who
meeting
would-
Clifford
who
for the
wouldn't be
first
looking
time.
at
Look at
kid?
him like a telescope. What's
Yeah.
he looking at?
It's like a kaleidoscope. Like,
Yeah.
Right, it's kaleidoscope.
Like a
Yeah.
Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards.
Okay, guys,
Okay.
we're gonna play the box office game.
This movie's a reasonable hit.
Pretty big hit, right?
Big hit.
I mean,
51
Terms of Endearment was like humongous.
That's true.
It was like 130 or something.
This is 51 million,
Yeah.
which is adjusted
115.
112. How does he?
I'm good at adjustment.
No. Of course he did. I definitely thought it was bigger hit than that. I guess Terms of
Terms of Endearment would
Terms
make
of
like
Endearment
300
was like-
million.
So this was
People
kind of
saw
like
over and
a
over again.
disappointment compared to Terms of Endearment.
No, it made 3 times its budget.
Yeah.
It was a big hit.
It didn't win Best Picture.
It didn't win Best Picture because that's the
That's
last
Gandhi.
Emperor year.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's maybe like an Unbreakable to a Sixth Sense kind of thing.
No, but I mean, it was a hit, and like
So it was Unbreakable.
it made sure, but I
but
think it was
next to a mega hit.
okay.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, but that's the last Emperor year. Michael Douglas wins Best Actor. Not that William Hurt was going to win Best Actor.
No.
Cher wins Best Actress.
Yeah.
I would give it to Holly Hunter,
Me
but
too.
I mean, I do like Cher in Moonstruck.
Yeah, she's very good.
Yeah.
Nikki
and
Cage not even nominated.
Sure. Sean Connery beats Albert Brooks.
Yeah, Brooks should have won for this.
Well, number one. So it opens in limited release.
Okay.
Christmas time, December 18th, 1987.
Okay.
Guys, number one. This is crazy. Is a stand-up comedy film.
Eddie Murphy Raw?
Yes. Number one at Christmas time.
Yeah.
The movie is like super rated R, right?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
No
Good
one will
call.
ever be that big of a movie star again.
It is crazy.
Like Elvis level famous. No one's ever going to be that iconic that you're able to translate anything in any medium into a success. Because he also had like hit albums and shit.
Yeah.
Number two.
Yeah.
In only its and Eddie Murphy Raw's opening weekend, $9 million. First weekend.
Huge.
Number two, in its fourth week, and the movie's already made $44 million, is the biggest movie of 1987.
Biggest movie of 80.
It's a comedy.
7. 3 Men and a Baby?
Oh.
How much does it make total?
165.
167.
That's crazy.
Adjusted, it's almost $400 million for 3 Men and a Baby. Who would have thunk it? 3 men and a baby.
Leonard Nimoy does it again.
Leonard Nimoy, he did it.
The Captain America Civil War of its time.
Number 3 at the box office is a fairly sizable comedy hit, made more than broadcast news, starring 2 big comedy actors of the 80s. Ben Hosley is loving it.
Pryor and Wilder?
No. Not a team that I think gets together again. I think it's a remake of a Hitchcock movie.
It's a remake of a Hitchcock movie.
I believe that I'm right about that.
Man and a Woman, 2 men.
2 men.
2 men. It's a remake of a Hitchcock movie. Is it Throw Mama from the Train?
Throw Mama from the Train, a Danny DeVito film.
A DeVito picture.
Starring DeVito and Crystal. I believe it is. No, it's not his debut. His debut is something
War of
called
the
The
Roses.
Ratings Game. No, War of the Roses is after this.
What the
War of the
fuck's
Roses
Ratings
is
Game?
so dark.
Yes.
Anyway.
I would love to do DeVito someday.
Yeah, I mean, it's only like 6 movies, right?
Death the Smoochie, Duplex, and Hoffa. That's
No,
a weird
and Matilda.
filmography. Oh, and Matilda.
Matilda.
He's got some good movies in there.
The Ratings Game is a TV movie, so
Okay.
forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Throw Mama from the Train, War of the Roses, Hoffa, Matilda, Death to Smoochie, Duplex.
So is
And then
Throw
he was
Mama
like,
from
"I'm
the
out."
Train a remake of Strangers on a Train?
Yes.
Yeah. With Moran Ramsey.
Number 4 is a kid's film
Okay.
about a robot.
A kid's film about a rabbit. Is it Short Circuit?
You're on the right track.
Short Circuit 2?
No.
It's a kid's film about a rabbit.
Isn't this about a robot? I don't know.
It's not Batteries Not Included, right? It is?
Yes.
That's about
It's about
many
aliens.
rabbits.
Right.
They're little metal aliens.
Written by,
Brad Bird.
among other people.
My goodness.
We'll never talk about that movie ever again on this podcast.
So that opens to $3 million. So I guess that wasn't a hit.
Not a huge hit.
No. Okay, it wasn't. Number 5 is another Oscar player. Won a big movie of the year. Won an Oscar.
Aforementioned or not?
We just mentioned
Wall
it.
Street?
Yeah. So good. How'd you do that? That was fast.
Contact clues, baby.
All right.
It's weird to hear it not with the ding. You know, just like 'cause it's
Yeah.
happening in real life and not in my.
I have to ding myself in my
headphones.
head, otherwise I feel bad.
Planes,
about
Yeah,
myself.
you feel like you're not
I need
validated.
that endorphin rush of the ding, baby.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which is a great movie we all love.
Yeah, a masterpiece.
Overboard.
Right, so he should have won fucking Best Actor this year. 1987, if Michael Douglas is who won, John Candy should have won Best Lead Actor in 1987.
Well, Michael Douglas won.
Yeah,
Because he
should
also
not
had
have.
Fatal Attraction this year.
Hey, can I
was
tell
a
you
hot
something?
year for
Can
him.
I tell you something?
Leonard Part 6.
Can I tell you something?
Griffin, you
Yeah.
can say something.
I like me. My friends like me. My wife likes me. Yeah, I mean, maybe I talk too much.
What the fuck are you doing?
But I'm the genuine article. Del Griffin, what you see is what you get. That's the fucking Planes, Trains.
No, it's good. It's just
I like me.
it's a good movie. Have you seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
I have seen parts of it. It's not a. I've
Okay.
seen Home Alone a billion times
Yeah.
and seen John Candy riding in the back of the Ryder truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Candy.
That's my
in
John
Planes,
Candy.
Trains. That's the jam. His
He's
big
good.
monologue. Yeah. I like him.
We're ending on a weird note, but
His
I
wife
mean,
likes
yeah.
him. His friends like him.
All right, we're done.
Look, Del Griffin's the genuine article, okay? What you
This
see is what you get.
This is a perfect
That's
movie.
like
That's
it's
perfect
like William Hurt. You know what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
That is
But
true.
you get is a lot of pain.
I'm glad we can agree this is a perfect movie.
It's a perfect one.
I would be interested for someone to argue if it's hashtag problematic for all of the things that we've been talking about. I think that is what makes it good.
I agree.
I think it's honest about what is hashtag problematic.
It's a hard
its
time
characters.
to watch it right now at a time where, like, I think everyone in a workplace is like, I will never touch another human being under any circumstances.
Right, where there's all those op-eds going around with like, can men even hug anymore? As if it's like Harvey Weinstein, just too much hugging. That's what did him in.
I mean, that literally is what John Lasseter did. Like, that is much of what he is accused of doing.
Yeah, it's true.
He's a real Lotso hugging bear.
That Lotso hugging bear is hard to think about right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, someone pointed out that like all the Pixar characters are like big, kindly men you idolize.
All the villains.
Yeah.
All the villains.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Big, kindly men you idolize, and then it's like, no, there's a dark.
Even in Coco. I mean, he's like not that big, but he's like, big. Like
he's kind of big.
Yeah.
He's got a torso.
Tall. Yeah.
Yeah. And even like Olaf's Frozen Adventure. You think that Olaf's your friend, and then he makes you watch that fucking 20-minute short.
How much of it did you watch?
I watched all of it.
Oh, because I arrived 37 minutes late, and I still caught the last 2 minutes.
My mom arrived very late, and I had to run out and give her ticket because I bought the ticket.
I watched Coco on a screener, and the short was not on there.
No, and now it is not on the theatrical release either.
No.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Now also Coco's not in theaters. This episode's coming out. Like,
you don't know.
I don't know.
Coco doing great.
I hope Coco do great. You know my tweet. Coco more like Gomo.
Good
movie.
Yeah.
I remember that tweet.
Everyone remembers it. By the time this episode comes out, that tweet will be put on a plaque somewhere.
That tweet is president.
Wait, Griffin, did you predict a Best Picture winner for posterity?
I just can't believe it. The Post did it. I don't know.
I was going to say the Post. Congratulations to the Post.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'm starting to maybe sense it. I don't know. I'm all out. I feel like literally anything could win this year.
Phantom Thread, baby.
Yeah.
It's happening. The Thread.
Last Jedi.
Oh, but speaking about things winning, of course, at this point that our episode's coming out, we're in the midst of Blanky March Madness. So, of course, Ben, can you believe that? Just beat. It looks like might now take it all the way, unless comes out of nowhere.
We're so far in advance, we just have to say random shit on our podcast.
But look
and Ben
out
has to figure it out later.
And don't count out.
Ben's really excited about this.
We don't even know how many. It doesn't matter.
I don't even know what Blanky March Madness is.
I'm still president at this point.
It's a gleam in our eye. Is all it is.
It'll
right
make
now.
a lot of sense at some point. I think everything that's problematic about this movie is also what's great about this movie. I think this movie is very honest, as David said, but it's so well researched, it's so well observed that the things that now bristle more than they did at the time only bristle because they're so dead on. And the culture changed around it.
Yeah, everything is problematic that makes it great, except for the Mark Shaming scene on the keyboard, which is perfect and not problematic at all.
Sure.
That is true. That should be the whole movie.
Nothing but joy.
Yeah.
All right. Katey, you came all the way.
I
did. I literally, of course. Yeah, you fly people in I flew first class.
And you want to tell people who your celebrity plus one was? Of course, when we fly a guest in, they get a celebrity plus one to accompany them.
Oh, is my celebrity plus one supposed to be on the podcast? Is that
No, you just flew with them.
Pointedly cannot be on the podcast, but they're a flight companion, a travel companion.
Oh, like who do I want to have taken my first class flight to go record the Blankies with? I don't know why I thought of Michael Shannon first, but he'd be kind
Great
of fun
choice. Great choice. He's a former Blanky winner. He won a
Chicago
Griffey
himself.
Yeah, we're getting Big Chicago, and I are going to go to Chicago after this.
That's lovely.
Very cold.
Listen to Fighting in the War Room.
Yeah.
Listen to Little Gold
Little
Man.
Gold Men.
Yep. Follow you on Twitter.
Yeah. So my name Katey. It's sometimes important to figure out.
It's important.
Unlike
Good
Albert
tweets.
Brooks, you never bury the lead.
No.
That's a great moment when he says, and I'm in love with you. And look at that, I buried the lead.
It's a great moment.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the other Albert Brooks line I like now that we're ending it off. Sometimes I wish you were two people so I could call up the one who's my best friend and tell her about the other one I like so damn much.
He's got a lot of fucking great lines.
This movie's full of just perfect fucking little weapons. Little
Katey.
daggers.
Hey.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me back.
Great to see you.
I will
Anytime.
fly on back in anytime you want.
Well, this was the movie you wanted.
Yeah.
So think of the next movie you want.
I just feel so lucky that I got it. Like I was prepared to take Spanglish.
I kind of cleared the field for you. I was like, Katie's.
Yeah, I just figured you needed a woman in journalism who is from the South, and we're like, all right, we got one.
Yes. Anyway, who we got for Spanglish is great anyway. So
yeah, you'll be excited when we record that episode 5 years from now. Thank you all for listening. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe. Thanks to Joe Bowen and Pat Reynolds for artwork, Lee Montgomery for our theme song, and for Gudo for social media. Go to blinkies.reddit.com for some real nerdy shit. And as always,
You think you can do these things, Nemo, but you can't.
All right.